There we go. Hello?
Hello. Wooly, can I hear you today?
I think you can.
I can, and I assume you can hear me, judging by whether or not you answered that question, which you did.
Sounds like I can hear you.
And that is because when we set up this podcast over the internet, we did cursory research on how far away we would be and whether or not the connection would actually function at that distance for the important event that we hold here every Monday. Something that an event organizer would probably look into.
Probably.
That's the kind of due diligence we use on our dumb little podcasts that we do. So
Okay.
It would be crazy if people didn't do that diligence for such a thing as a gigantic global event.
I heard that there was some lag issues with Evo Online. I didn't watch. I haven't seen any. I don't know the details.
I know some of the details.
Okay.
And what the number one detail to be taken away from Evo Online is that people who run Evo don't know what maps are. So, in particular, the South American side of the tournament, because they had it broken up into I think it was like North America and Europe and South America. South America included Mexico.
Oh God. Okay.
Which
yeah, that's really stupid.
I know I don't know how many people watching this are familiar with the Mercator projection.
Really...
It's what we typically use on a flat map, but that screws up distances. And it turns out that the tip of Mexico to the tip of Brazil are farther apart than the middle of Canada to the middle of Mexico. It's super far. It's like 4,200 fucking miles.
That's really dumb. Yeah. Wow.
And as a result, everything was fucked.
So
they didn't even show the Strive top 8 for Latin America, South America.
So there's a lot of it's interesting because that makes me think of how often conversations are held here where people say North America, but they really just mean Canada and US.
Yeah.
And North America.
I wonder why that is.
It's like that's a thing. And it's a thing that's very common. So I can see where, because of that sort of like bracketing that occurs in everyday conversation and then the way people operate and think about it, that it could lead to something as dumb as putting a North American country in a South American bracket.
There were also situations. I think Leffen had the best take. Here's a statement from Pat. I think Leffen had the best take out of Evo, which was he got to top 8 in European Strive after one match. I don't know if you got to see the brackets, but a combination of internet issues, poor planning, and people not even knowing that the event was on at all meant that every single bracket is like 60, 70, 80% DQs.
That's pretty
so
wild.
People are having like buys all the way up the entire bracket to top 16.
I mean, here's one thing I can tell you is other fighting game friends that I have were also like, wait, it's this weekend and next and what's going on? And overall, it's kind of just happening.
I didn't even know Evo was happening. People had to tell me in the chat.
Yeah. I mean, I saw it and I saw the plan across multiple weekends and it's a whole thing, but it really is unfortunately just like background, you know? And something else too is that like online tournaments like are there's been a whole lot of them, and they've been, run by different people. I mean, Jeff Ronan Rumble, good guy. Leffen has Levo as well, and there's a couple other online tournaments. But
I mean, yeah, Capcom just ran their Pro Tour online just now.
Yeah, so there's always problems, but it's kind of like when you hear like shit like that happening, where you're like, this is the biggest profile one, you would hope that like it would be the best thought out. But anyway, I don't know. Here's to the return of locals at some point in the future. Whenever that's possible.
That's what I have to say to that.
At some point in the future.
At some point in the future, one way or the other.
Yeah, I mean, I know you never cared about locals. I do. I'd like it to happen. I wish that.
That's not where my laughter is coming from. What my laughter is coming from, I'm gonna be doing a little graph up and down with my finger here for those the audio listeners. It's like, hey, we might be getting close to local. Actually, we might be getting close to locals. No, we're not. Yeah, hey, we might be getting
Yep, that's why I say at some point in the future.
And then we have like that thing where I forget, it was a tournament being held in Las Vegas. I forget what it was, but it was like a free week for the Scrub Quotes account because they mandated vaccination proof upon entering the venue, and you got to see the intersection of FGC, like dirtbag and anti-vax being combined into like a single type of idiot. And oh man, it's so good.
Support your 2025 locals. Yeah. Well, anyway, that's a stupid thing. They shouldn't have done that.
I don't know. It was just like, I never thought in my entire life, no matter what the scenario, I'd ever be like, wait, EVO's happening right now? Like, I'm so used to everyone just like getting excited and talking about it and going crazy.
Mm-hmm. Well, anyway, I mean, it's I don't know, like online tournaments, I haven't entered any of them because I mean, besides the fact that like tournament life requires a particular grind and dedication, and I mean, from seeing like all the really all the best players are like talking like I think like Justin Wong has entered, like I don't know what the count is, but it's like hundreds of tournaments over the course of the year have been entered already. And like I know Kizzy and Sonic Fox, obviously, like all these players where they're just like, yeah, every week is like 4 or 5 tournaments to just go fucking crush. And yeah, I don't know. I guess I kind of just like, for now, I'm just gonna play and have fun and just not think about any of that stuff.
Isn't your top game right now in terms of personal skill possibly Samurai Showdown?
Possibly.
You're not going to be doing online tournaments with that fucking thing.
Certainly not. Certainly not. Yeah, and there was a little bit of an online thing with a little battle between fan bases, because there's some folks that are like, hey, well, 5 Special has rollback, so just go play that. And I'm like, but
5 Special's totally different.
Yeah, I played Darly Dagger, and it's a different game, and I want to play the one with Darly Dagger in it. I like that.
Yeah, it's the dance you get to do with Strive, where somebody's like, I don't really like this about Strive. I wish it was more like Exerd. And then you go play Exerd. But before you finish saying go play Exerd, you go, oh, but you can't just go play Exerd because Exerd doesn't work online like at all. And then you go, well, go play Accent Core. And then you're like, no, Accent Core is a completely fucking different game entirely. It's a freak weirdo game, and it's also like 15, 20 years old.
Yeah. Still great, but it's not the same dish in any way, shape, or form. All right. So I guess I'll take the baton.
Have your baton, sir.
And I'll start it by giving a heads up. PSA. Not you.
That's me.
That's
That's
not
me.
No, not
It
you.
is me. I own those.
You co-opted 3 letters that belong to everyone else.
No, mine.
So there is going to be a break of a couple weeks, about 3 weeks. We're going to have no podcast. So from August 30th through to September 6th, and then the 13th are all going to be off. So we'll be back in the back half of September. I will be away on my honeymoon. So that's why there's no podcast.
It's important. So what's the start date on that? What's the list? You said August 30th?
Yeah, so basically
We're going to do the 16th and then the 23rd.
it's going to be 30th, 16th, 23rd are all off. And that period of time will be also applying to the channel as well. So over on Woolly Versus, we will have some offline programming to play during the hiatus. Yeah.
Is building that shit up exhausting?
No, honestly, I'm not building up. I'm not going to build up a whole.
Not like we used to do. That was a lot.
No. I'm going to record. I'm going to record an offline LP of something, and then that'll be going up in the dark, old school style during that time frame. So I'll let that happen when it happens, though.
Since Wooly's going to be putting out less content, for at least for a short time in the near future, if you guys are really bored, you could always come watch my terrible streams over at Pat Stares At.
Yeah, I mean, there's still going to be stuff.
Yeah, no, but there won't be as much. So like they'll watch your thing, and then they'll be like, I usually watch 2 extra hours of Wooly a day.
Well, yeah. They'll be sure to tune in for some stuff, though. Yeah. So that's going down.
So that's your future, but what about your recent past?
And also, I mean, in my short term, in my more immediate future, that will also leave a very disrupted schedule of recordings. So I will be streaming and recording over the next couple weeks a lot more sporadically than usual. We'll still be getting sessions in, of course, but just there will be a lot more days and gaps, you know? Because lot of stuff to deal with and work on and plan and so on and so forth. So yeah, I'll be here and there, but you will see, as you usually can, the schedule on my Twitter. On my Twitter, stuck to the top, it'll let you know what we're doing each week. At the very least, if I can get in a session of Devil Summoner and some fighting games on Saturdays, then I think we'll be okay. Probably do some heavy sessions of SMT, actually, just to let it last a little longer and get more in to make up for the time. But yeah, in the past week, a lot of things. So as I just mentioned, we finished Disco Elysium.
Congratulations!
Thank you. And that was fantastic. And so at the end of this episode, we can do a little spoiler cast. Talk about the spoilers and things that happen at the end of that. Very good game. Highly recommended.
Before we do, we can have a completely spoilery discussion, which I basically just want to be. Last year, my game of the year was 13 Sentinels, which snuck in right at the end as just like this fucking complete anime narrative triumph of like the Eastern like visual novel style storytelling. And then earlier this year, I played and beat Disco Elysium, which is like the complete goddamn fucking narrative triumph game in like where are they from? Are they Polish or Czech or that's Europe place? And it's just like fucking thumbs up game of the year, easy, like no question for me.
Yes,
Estonia.
The Insulindian Isola. It was absolutely, that's gonna steal game of the year for sure, whatever that distinction means. I mean, to me, I give it more. Like I'd rather give it a more descriptive thing. Like I'd say like it's best written game I've ever played.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's the best playing novel I've ever read.
Yeah, with a bullet. There's just nothing stopping that or coming close. And so of course, no spoilers. We'll talk about all that later. But I will say that, as promised, throughout the entire time I've been playing it, I started right again. And I went back in with a different style of character.
And it feels
different. Yeah. And, we're going in with a just complete beefhead that's going to just, like, get as drunk and as high as possible. And
I'm just going to kick down every door I can find, and that will solve the mystery.
Yeah, and I feel so much worse for... Kim, who's just like, oh my god, like on a regular basis, just has to stop and talk to you. Again. Yeah, he does these like little check-ins early on ins that I've had so far, like 2 of them, where he's like, hey man, is this...
Pace yourself maybe.
Is this what you're about? Just want it to be clear here. No judgment, but is this what you're about? Maybe. And, yeah, we're going through it differently, and I'm enjoying the variety already. Like within the first like 10 minutes, right? The entire Kuno situation, I just like
something about phrasing that as the Kuno situation, which is completely accurate.
I played it out so completely differently, and I noticed something fucking dark, is like, again, first 10 minutes of the game or whatever, like when it's like put him in his place is a check and you do so. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. His voice literally changes for the rest of the line reads.
Mm-hmm.
A second line read voice kicks in where he's very, very different in tone from the way he usually is. It's crazy. So, I kind of just seeing differences like that right away in the game. I'm like, oh man, like this is going to be a hell of an enjoyable second gig.
I had a takeaway from it when I was like 2 sessions from the end or something, where it was right when like I think it was Ubisoft was like putting out a bunch of statements about how their games don't say anything, and I was like talking to like those drunk jackasses on the west side of the map about bullshit, and all I could think of is like so many like games now are terrified to really put their foot into something or say anything. And Disco doesn't just have something to say, it has something to say about every topic I could think of, including a bunch of topics that are completely fictional, that don't exist and are only contextually interesting in this context.
Yeah. it's refreshingly direct and unapologetic, which is pretty much all you can ask for. And again, it's all in the moment where it literally tells you to say one of these fascist or communist things or fuck off. And it's just like, that is the that is the mantra we're carrying forward here. It's like, no, you're going to do one of these things. We're not gonna play a Spec Ops The Line with you, and ask you, do you feel like a hero yet? We're gonna force you to choose one of these things, and we're going to have all of them go to their horrible extremes and conclusions.
Disco Elysium, fence sitting is for pussies.
At the same time, it's like, come get your licks no matter what side you're on, because fence sitting is for pussies, but also
The thing you like is stupid.
The thing you like is stupid. Exactly. That exactly, right? It's a difference. It's not like, don't be the grill pilled middle that sits there, because that is literally the worst version of all events. But at the same time, the things you like are dumb, and we're gonna fucking blast you for them. It's incredible. So we beat that, and more to say later. And then we have since then started Shin Megami Tensei Devil Summoner Kuzunoha Raido versus the Soulless Army, aka Raido 1.
And like random battles?
Yeah, no, but I'm having fun. I'm having fun so far. I see a lot of folks that are like, a lot of folks are excited, but a lot of people were also like, oh man, the second one gets so much better, and the first one's really full of all these jank things. And in my like, looking into it, and then so far, like, with that first session, I'm like, I'm prepared for all of this. This is all fine, Like, I know going in that I'm booting up a PlayStation 2 SMT game. I'm expecting there to be, some roughness here, but overall, it's gonna be a shorter game than like some of the beefier ones. And and I'm down for it. It's gonna be fine. I'm not too worried about some of those aspects.
That the statement of like the first one has some jank and the second one gets so much better, that's an accurate statement. But I dislike when people like evangelize that, because that always has this undercurrent of like, well, then just skip the first one. It's like, no, the first one's still good. Yeah. I really like Raido Kuzunoha 1. I think the story goes great places, and I think the ending in particular is incredible.
So far, it's been really strong. It's been a whole lot of fun. The most egregiously dated aspect so far has been the demon fusion, and the fact that you have to RNG your move list. You have to back out and go back in. This is
before they gave up on the total randomization.
Exactly. So that I came in expecting that because of other SMTs and P3 and shit. So like, that's all fine. And I kind of mentioned it a little bit, but like, there was a point at which I was also looking into Persona 2, and yeah, like, as good as the story in that I'm told is, I walked around and I kicked the tires, and that goes back further than I think could be a solid LP.
There's certain games you can go back in time and it's no problem. I could play Doom right now, all the way through, and I like, oh man, hasn't aged a day. Meanwhile, Persona 2.
Yeah.
Oh man, go look at Persona 1.
Yeah. No, I know. Right. It's all Tartarus, basically, is what I've been told. 2, and I this is not a blanket statement, because here's the thing. I think someone who knows P2 already, both of them, could go in and make it interesting and just talk about a lot of what the game is about and a lot of the franchise as a whole, and discuss all those things and go through it. But as someone who's brand new, sitting with someone else who's brand new, diving into it, and me, I'm familiar with the future Persona games, and he would be familiar with 0 Persona games. Yeah. I think that would just not be a good choice, you know. And it was a curiosity pick that I mentioned early on, but having looked into it, having done a little research, having kicked the tires, I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be a bad idea. And Raito steps up and does an excellent job. Where instead,
P2 also gives you a wonderful nightmare that is platform changes, in which Persona 2 Innocent Sin did get localized into English in an improved PSP port, which you could probably emulate fairly easily. But then they were like, well, P2 Eternal Punishment, well, that already got localized, and Innocent Sin didn't sell that well, so just go play the PS1 game.
Exactly.
And it's like, that's shit.
So now, exactly. So that's and then part 2 of this is like, all right, how would you go about even handling this in the modern today? And it's like, oh, well, all right, the PSP version exists. However, the English dub is apparently pretty whack and cringy at a lot of points. So you're going to want to get your hands on the fan undub of the PSP game. So then you get that going, and you can play the fan undub, which puts the Japanese voices back in and lets you play through the English version of the game. That's fine. But then there is no finished version of that for part 2 for PSP, or so you got to go back to PS1 and then use a fan translation that like makes the spell names and a couple of other mistranslated things accurate. And then it got, I was going down a rabbit hole of figuring out how to deal with like fan translations and those bits and pieces as well, alongside getting into P2. So it was like, oh man, this is that on its own was a whole other like, oof, you know. And there's some shit in there that's like, obviously, like, well, look, there's some stuff in Persona, in all of them, that's pretty dated, and the further back you go, the more dated they get. So
I don't think there's anything as dated in Persona as Masao Inaba from Persona 1. The most dated thing in Persona ever.
What's that?
Familiar with that character?
No.
Masao Inaba is the wacky kid in your class in Persona 1. And in English, he was turned into Mark, the black kid.
The black guy. Yes, the black guy. Right. Yeah.
And it's like, oh man, that's fucking that's weird.
No, but like 5 minutes into the map on P2, there's like a weird trans gag, you know? So it's like, all right, you're just gonna hit these fucking, woo, that was that year.
I remember playing Police Knots, and within like 21 minutes we're like visibly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because the writing of 90s Kojima was like,
you know. But hey, the Velvet Room is cool, and you can see more people in it.
Which is a detail I really wish they had kept, honestly.
Yeah. That was interesting. But anyway, all this to say that P2 was it was those. There would have been a lot of issues. So we're going Raito, and we're having a good time with it.
He's got a little cape.
Mm-hmm.
Man, the Kaneko designs are like completely undiluted in that game.
Yeah, they really accurately hold up, like, and they translate the full thing into 3D, like
just
1-to-1.
Hand me that brick of eyeshadow, sir. Excuse me.
And it's interesting too, because like you look at like, well, again, let's say any of the Persona games where the art style just leans towards anime, so but it's still, you still see the Kaneko designs and like some demon stuff, but here it's like no, the whole thing is just like top to bottom Kaneko style, and you kind of look at it and you go, yeah, no, that's why Devil May Cry is going to hold on to these designs till the end of time. You know, they're just gonna, or at the very least, they held on to them for a very long time. You know, it's like they got a guest artist to show up and do these designs, and they kicked ass, and they're like, all right, that's Dante for the next 15 years. Makes sense, you know. Very, very, very fun so far, and yeah, I don't know, more to say when we actually get further in. And I'm also curious about like some of the connections that, because I know that's the thing, is like going back to these games, there's always connections to like other spin-offs in the franchise and such. And you know, again, I remember hearing about how like Kuzunoha is like the last name of like the main character from the original Devil Summoner game on Saturn. And so
sure, maybe,
yeah, and there's links, and then like he also cameos in P2 and you know, and what I you know, there's a whole web and tapestry of interlocking
usually
cameos and mysteries.
Like I'm the kind of person who marks out extremely hard over inter-series connections, but SMT has always felt like a big Easter egg, less so than like being plot relevant. But funnily enough, Raito 1 has, I think, the absolute most direct tie-ins to any other like non-Raito game of anything in SMT.
Okay.
Like it's like over here, over there. What about that? Like it just touches all sorts of shit.
Yeah, so that's going fun. What else?
Here's a historical detail you may not have picked up. You're familiar that the game takes place in Taisho 20?
Fictional era.
Yeah, okay. Because there's no such thing as Taisho 20. Haha.
Yes, after the Meiji Restoration, we go into a fictional timeline, alternate 1920s. And I feel as if like the era too, like this would go hand in hand with Great Ace Attorney, you know, because you're seeing similar characters, similar demeanors, and similar clothing, you know.
It is. I don't quite remember the year for Great Ace Attorney, but it's definitely after the Restoration.
The introduction of Westernization, you know, and the you know, the characters with their bowler caps and their fancy Western inspired suits. Yeah. Late 1800s. That makes sense. Yeah. Fucking great. I also went back to Power Rangers, the fighting game, which, you know, I mean,
how's the grid?
It's fucking great, man. This game, I don't know what to say. Like, we really just don't talk about it enough, but it's so good. It's
a Marvel game. Like, okay, it's not really a Marvel game, but that's a big air quotes Marvel game, right?
It's a hyper game. Yeah, it's 3v3, assists, fast-paced, but it's just so much fun. It's really well, you know, done. It's got crossplay across all platforms. It's got rollback. Ryu and Chun-Li are in it now, so we went back and tried them out alongside some of the new other characters. And, like, some of the other new characters are, like, just fucking super sick. Like, there's, like, stance characters that are I was messing around with that I don't remember from last time. At least, no, I remember one of them, but I think, like, yeah, JC got it added and is just basically like a like Muay Thai fighter that just goes into all these stance switches and is like really it's just like it's like a game that just maybe it's just because it's Power Rangers that like it's not at the forefront of the IPs being discussed in fighting games, but it's like this shit is it's so fun, it's so fucking good. Instantly we after like one or two games we got right back in, you know, and then like find your assist, find your really dirty tag or cross up or like whatever the thing is with your character, and then like
find your bullshit.
Find your bullshit, you know? And it also has like some of the stuff I liked about like tagging in Marvel Infinite. Tagging in Marvel Infinite was really fun because you could do these hot switches back and forth and like have that kind of like call out your partner to do an assist, but it's really just a tag covering your old move. So you make your own assist in a way. Like you have these moments where like the moment you press tag a second time, you take control of that second character. So yeah, you can do a lot of fun stuff with that. Similar to also what you can do in like BB tag. It's a lot of, you have a lot of freedom, a lot of ways to just, go ham and do really dirty things, but like the execution is pretty simple. It's got a special button, so anyone who's like trying to get used to the pace of like a crazy Marvel style game, like this is one where you don't have to worry too much about the execution of it. You can just focus on seeing things as fast as you need to, just a whole lot of fun. Clockwork did an incredible job as we said in the past.
Worked on this?
Clockwork, it was the main go-to for like balancing and community support and all that. Exactly.
Well, that explains a lot, doesn't it?
That explains why it turned out the way it did. Man, just don't sleep on Power Rangers. It's fucking incredible.
I wish it was Sentai.
As a whole, yeah.
I wish it was literally the same exact game, but Sentai.
Minus Saban. Yeah. Well,
pretty much. Like same characters and everything. Just
yeah. But it's one of the fucking good ones that is slept on. And at the bare minimum, I'll say this, like, by being cross-platform, you just immediately eliminate the issue of like, where should I get it? What should I? You don't even have to have that discussion because it's just like wherever you want. It doesn't matter.
Isn't that game like super cross-platform?
Yes, literally all five.
Yeah, oh man, that's crazy.
Oh, Sabana's dead and Hasbro bought the whole thing. Wonderful, great news. Yes, all five platforms.
Saban's dead.
No, the company.
Woo. Oh, the guy isn't dead. Oh.
Well, anyway, that's super cross-platform, super duper. Doesn't matter what you own, you can play it on anything you want to. So have fun with the platform of your choice, whatever's the most convenient to you. I hope that let me get the name right here. Power Rangers Battle for the Grid, developed by Enway. I hope that Enway is given the keys to other IPs that could be, turned into a cool fighting game that could benefit from this type of like open crossplay scenario. And also I hope that they get people involved that can help making it do what Clockwork did, essentially, because that's a huge.
I just had an idea, and it's a stupid idea because it'll never happen. But could Vince give them the WWE license and they can make a 3v3 hyper game, with pro wrestlers?
I've had conversations with people in the know.
Are you serious?
It's just not gonna happen. It won't happen. Never ever. It's more likely to happen with AEW than it is with the shit that Vince has his fucking hands on.
Okay.
If it was gonna happen, it would have happened already.
Yeah, you're right.
This is what it is, But anyway,
I feel sad for no reason.
Well, I mean, you ask a dumb question, you're gonna get the sad answer. It's the same shit it was when you were like fucking 20 years younger. It's the exact same shit. And then hashtag free MVC2. We popped in Marvel 2, and despite how scary it was to expose ourselves to the world as complete scrubs who don't know what they're doing.
I was about to ask, were you ever really into Marvel 2? I don't remember that.
I was into it as a casual thing that was at my arcade. I would play it with some friends, but I never got into it competitively. I never got good at it. I always just really liked it. And when CVS came around at the time, I started spending way more quarters on that. But Marvel 2 is really cool. Because the skill ceiling is so high, you get exposed for being a fraud faster than any other fighting game out there on the planet. And we never did it back in the day. And I wanted to get an expert to come on and do a For Glory episode with us. But unfortunately, that never was able to happen, mainly due to the COVID and shit. But I don't know, maybe something can happen in the future. Maybe we can do something over Discord. But for now, it's at the very least, it's like, we just kind of went like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just press buttons and look dumb and show the world that, you can still have fun not knowing how to play this game. And
that game's tons of fun if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, and let's just show everybody that, so what if we're not Clockwork or Neo? We can still do it. And we did it. And it was fun. I had one team that I knew, and Reggie had one team that he knew, And by knew, it was like we kind of knew what to do with them. And we just kind of we spent our time having fun with that. And Max came by and we shoot him away. Don't look at me. Don't look at my exposed horror. My ass is out. And then Bestaban came by and we shoot him away. And it was just like, listen, man, we're just trying to do what, like, because everyone is in the same boat here where it's just like there's a whole 99% of us that look at Marvel 2 and go, this shit is so cool to watch. I can't fucking play it for the life of me. And like, you want to support it in the idea that you want it to come back so that other cooler, stronger people can play it so that you can watch it.
It's a weird thing because like the Marvel license put kind of a something in there where Capcom historically has been pretty good about releasing and re-releasing and re-releasing and re-releasing every fucking thing that mattered over and over and over again. I think I own every version of RE4, but I'm not 100% sure because, man, there are a lot of versions of RE4 out there. But Marvel 2, despite it being like a super classic, it's like we got that version way back on the Xbox 360. I don't think the last gen got a version of it at all.
No, it didn't. And the port was not a good one either. Like people that are it changed things that they didn't want patched out. But yeah, it's one of those games where like if you're in that category, which we all are, of like you just kind of want to watch it and watch people do cool things at it. Like you can play it and you can have fun and you don't have to worry about like sucking, and I think that's what we kind of wanted to do was just show everybody that you can just fucking press some buttons and dick around and it'll be a good time. And it was. So I encourage others to, support the free MVC2 campaign. And if you've wanted to try it, by all means, get it, try it, and yeah, right now, if you go and you try to fight online against anybody, you're gonna just get crushed by Mount Olympus. That's what it is. But who knows? Maybe there's, you and your friends, or
maybe you'll give Zeus a bloody lip.
Maybe there's some Discords out there that'll, have some folks that are just as bad as you are or as I am, and we can get together and have fun with it.
Out of almost every fighting game I've ever played, that was not a good sentence. Out of almost any fighting game I've ever played, Marvel 2 lends itself the best to, hey, people in my personal Discord that don't really play fighting games, do you all want to go in on this, $5 copy of Marvel 2 and just fuck around with it?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure. Oh, cool. Jill has her rockets. Oh, cool. That's Son from the NES, like, or whatever, like,
and
etc.
Yeah, I'd say at that, like, you don't even have to worry because the Justin introduced a ratio system which is pretty cool for people who do know how to play, where it was like, what if you put a weight behind every character on your team so that you couldn't go over a certain amount? And that way you pick one god and then you have enough for, you know, like one, like, yeah, basically CVS 2, right? Where you had the ratio, or CVS 1 with the locked ratio system, where it's not free ratio. Like, so if you want to have Sentinel on your team, you're going to have to deal with Roll and, you know, someone else on the bottom. Hayato.
Hey, we're talking about bring back MVC 2, and I've noticed that on 3 different occasions you've mentioned CVS 2, and every time you did, my eyes kind of went big, and I was like, man, CVS 2 though, can we get something from that? Because that was the shit I was way into. I fucking love Capcom vs. SNK. Those games are great.
They were fantastic. They really, really were. Yeah. I think honestly, like, any games where Capcom has licensing issues held up become the ones that, you know, get held back the most. It sucks. It sucks because
I just want to grab a hold of someone's shoulders and shake them just a little bit and kind of yell at them in the face of, like, literally just put out Capcom versus Capcom, please, God.
Yeah, so yeah. That's the end of the discussion every time. We had that as well, where it's like, try not to go into 2 hours of Capcom versus Capcom roster talk, because it's just obvious.
So many fucking Capcom characters.
Well, it's just like, literally, it was just like, okay, never mind all the cool never evers that you've, like, thought about. Never mind Gene, you know, from God Hand. Just take the entire Capcom half of the Marvel 2 roster and the Marvel 3 roster, and you already have an unbelievable fighting game full of fun characters.
I'm genuinely convinced that you could probably put out a version of Marvel 2 that replaced every single Marvel character with a Capcom analog that had the same moveset.
You could.
Just a different skin, and it would work.
They, you know, like, Arika did it for Fighting Lair, right? Like, they just went, we're taking our characters and fucking off and doing our own thing, and we're just taking all the Street Fighter characters from EX out of it, and that's their franchise, you know? Like, it's already there. Anyway,
just staple
we know.
Picture of Dread Bionic Commando on a Spider-Man and just be done with it.
But he already exists. It's fine.
Yeah, not Marvel 2. He doesn't.
The start of this was try not to get into 2 hours of roster talk for CVC.
What? So bad.
It's such an obvious. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. So that game should come back in some way, shape, or form, and, you know, I don't know. We'll see what happens with Marvel on it, but bah. So that's pretty much it. I mean, I started Loki, but I won't have anything to say until I finish it. So,
should you say that you low key started Loki?
I low key started Loki. Anyways, how about you?
Well, I mean, the only real interesting thing that I'm going to be playing a bunch of indies this coming week, which include Death Trash and Grime on the same day, which I'm super happy that there are 2 filth games that I can play on stream. But the biggest and most importantest thing that I played this past week was Mass Effect 3, which I have not touched for more than 60 minutes. Like, we did the machinima video of it, and we literally just got enough footage to just shit out a machinima video all those years ago. Hadn't played it because the ending discourse had reached everyone long before the game came out. And Mass Effect 3 leaves me very emotionally conflicted in terms of, like, what it actually is. So the long and short of it, everybody knows that the Mass Effect 3 ending is, like, the worst thing ever. Yada yada. What surprised me and honestly ended up making me more upset was that starting and playing the game and getting about, I don't know, 6 hours into it, Um, it's excellent. Like it's very good. It's doing a lot of really good stuff that even the second game that everybody loves didn't do. You have way more ability to interact with your crew and all that stuff, which has always been a highlight of that series.
You know, as
and
you're
it plays
speaking,
like a real action game.
I realized that I have literally never heard anyone discuss any aspect of Mass Effect 3 except for the ending controversy. I have not heard literally a single thing about the game outside of that.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
I have no idea. To me, it's like you start the game and then it's just that ending.
Yeah,
like
it might as well have been,
because that's the only thing I've ever heard for my entire life about it.
It's a fun thing in that it's the video game equivalent of getting bad news via text message 10 minutes before you go to bed. Because no matter how great your day was, day's ruined. Oh man, what a terrible day. It soured the experience for everybody. So I'm going through this in reverse in that I know everything about the ending and almost nothing about the rest of the game. And I'm enjoying, it's like I'm having a wonderful steak dinner with a second plate of actual poop that I will have to eat later. And the steak is fantastic. It really is really good.
But it's on the table.
But I keep looking over, knowing that I will have to eat the poop.
I didn't even know the steak was good. I didn't even know that.
It's very good. And it also has a very, very weird thing that will only get more confusing with time because the context of me playing through it now is wildly different from the context of people playing it back then. So the first things first, I won't spoil any details about it in case you happen to play it in the future or others, but there is a party member whose existence and storyline back in the day was the online pass equivalent for Mass Effect 3. He was a day one piece of DLC. And I say this without exaggeration, the character is literally the most important person that has ever existed in the history of that storyline's universe.
Wow. Okay.
And it was day one DLC. And it was straight up like we made it and then got told to yank something for DLC. So we picked this.
On par with Pop Zero True Ending or Azura's Wrath True Final Mission.
No, it's way worse than that. Because this is a party member that can come along with you on every single mission and opens up an enormous amount of like context and information about everything in the whole thing. It's like if you went to see Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade and his dad was only in the movie if you paid $3 extra. Like it's literally that big of a deal.
Okay.
And so, but now he's just integrated into the game. So that context is gone. The Mass Effect 3 has a system where you have to achieve a certain amount of galactic readiness to get certain ending combinations, right? And in the base game, very little was pulled in from your old saves, and in fact, a full half of the readiness points was based on you playing the multiplayer, which apparently was fantastic, but was still a gacha multiplayer game. So people who didn't want to play the multiplayer would get to the end of the game and go, I don't have enough fucking points to get the good end. What the fuck? Right?
God, there was such
But that multiplayer is now gone.
Yeah.
And a shit ton of the readiness comes in through your
nothing.
Your old choices in the prior games, which it should have been in the first place.
God, that fucking mid-aughts era of like just trying to reinvent the wheel over and over and over as games were expanding into what AAA means now, you know, trying to figure out like what cool new things you can do to like, yeah, reintegration and all that shit, where it's like everyone just kind of wants a really strong narrative that continues from where the last one left off, you know?
Mm-hmm. But like, so to be clear, the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer was apparently fantastic. It's gone now, and that's a weird thing that people miss it. So at least you weren't playing a bad multiplayer.
But having it matter in any way, shape, or form is ridiculous. Like, you know, I remember when I went back to BioShock 2, and I was like, oh, wow, there's a second disc here? What the fuck? And it was like, oh, yeah, there's a whole multiplayer suite for this thing.
Yeah, it's bad multiplayer.
Yeah, and I was like, that's hilarious. I'm never going to look at it. And you just don't think about it again, you know? And, like, I think in the end, I'm probably going to say that, like, I feel like video games needed to have that era, and they needed to have these giant fuck-ups to learn how to not implement, like, DLC that isn't future-proof, and things like multiplayer campaigns that require, you know, you to be involved to play that in order to feed back into the single player, because there's people that won't ever do that, and again, that's not future-proof, or anything that's server-reliant, you know?
Some people in the chat are pointing out a really good example for the character I'm talking about in Mass Effect is, what if all the telepathic conversations with Cresta in KOTOR 2 were a day one DLC pack?
Yeah, God, shit, right? That's horrible.
Could you imagine? Could you fucking imagine?
Yeah.
So, third, the ending that I will be playing through in this version is not the same ending that originally came out. That extended cut thing that they did, I would not say it fixed it, but it definitely took some of the stink off, and it's a much better ending regardless. And on top of that, and here's one of the kickers, they released something called the Leviathan DLC and the Citadel DLC. Leviathan very much softens the ending, but you don't have to pay for it anymore. It used to be pay $10 to fix the ending a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And Citadel, which is supposedly the best thing that ever came out of the series, because it's literally you guys having like a birthday party with every character you've ever encountered in the history of anything. So, but that came out months and months and months later. So I'm playing a game that doesn't have like $30 of DLC to fix itself. I don't have to wait months for them to improve the ending from being a complete piece of shit. I don't have to play a multiplayer that I may not have to care about to get the ending that I want. The character that is super important is no longer day one DLC that is absolutely mandatory, but is just there to bulk up the cost, etc. Right? And so it's like the game that I'm playing is
the streamlined experience.
Is completely different than the game people played on its release, and it's a very weird situation because there are people that are gonna play through the whole series and go, I don't know what the big deal.
What was the big deal?
Ending was.
Yeah. That'd be me.
And it's like, go watch the original. It's a joke. And then you had to pay like $40 extra to get all the DLCs for it.
That'd be me. That'd be me hitting the credits on 3, just going like, "What the fuck was the big stink about?
Right?
This was fine."
It's this weird thing, and one of the things that they didn't change, which is probably the single thing that aged the most like milk out of all of it, was in Mass Effect 1 and 2, there was a character that was, I wouldn't call her popular, but people liked her, named Emily Wong. She was a reporter that you dealt with. I think when you played Mass Effect 1, you mentioned that you ran into Emily Wong. She asked you to do some little side quest.
Rings a bell, yeah.
Get a scoop, right?
Yeah, that rings a bell.
In 2, you also help her get a scoop, right? And it's just like, it's a reporter character. Well, in 3, they announced on Twitter that the character died. She's not in Mass Effect 3 at all. And they put out a tweet going, this is what happened to Emily Wong. And they described that she died. And instead, there is a reporter character that you can invite on your ship for reporter shenanigans. and it is voiced and face modeled and acted by Jessica Chobot of IGN. A decision that was weird and off-putting then and is hilariously dated now.
That's what that was about. Okay. Because I had
she was
no
also
idea.
from G4.
Okay. Because I don't know. I don't know who that is, and I didn't know any of this story, but I do remember those names and people being upset about ME3, and that was a part of it at the time. Okay, so they killed off a character and then replaced it with a cameo.
Yeah, so here's the other thing, is that the Mass Effect series, the Commander Shepard, like the male actor, clearly was scanned in from like some Swedish supermodel. Like his head quality is way better than everybody else's. And they didn't do that for Jessica. Her character model looks like a freak. It's crazy. It's fucking crazy how fucking weird she looks. It's like, Jessica Chobot's a pretty lady. This thing is a fucking freak.
Okay.
And I've never met this lady. I'm sure she's very nice. Her line reads are not good. It's not great. And every time I walk by her part of the ship, you talk to her because she's got story-relevant dialogue, and I'm like, you shouldn't fucking be here. You should be the character that I already liked instead of this weird cameo from a person I barely heard of and don't care about. And, like, it's just like, oh, somebody posted, Commando Joe posted, yeah! Yeah, I'm gonna send this photo to Wooly and get his fucking internal gut reaction.
Nah, we're fine. I'm good.
No, you look at that photo.
Nah,
and
I'm
tell
good.
me what you think of that character model. You look at it, you coward. It's bad.
It's not good. Sure. Yep.
It's like it's weirdly noticeably worse than like all the NPCs that are around her when you run into it. So yeah, it just aged like shit.
So
like
yeah,
I got up to it, it was like, oh, I forgot this shit happened. Weird.
So the list of all of those problems, which are all very different from each other, and are all emblematic again of that AAA birth of AAA era.
95% of them are gone now.
And
also,
you needed this game. You needed these fuck ups. You needed this this example to be made of like all the things not to do when you're trying to just tap it in, you know, just finish the story off and send it home.
Let me just check something out.
It sounds like every mistake possible that like you don't want with AAA.
March 6, 2012.
And if there were more gambling loot box gacha things in you know, in the headspace at the time, those would have probably plagued it too.
So, fun fact. This game crashed and burned and all this controversy and everybody mad at the time. And I don't know if you remember, but like people were like, change the ending, fucking do it. We deserve better. You lied to us. And, you know, I was into that at the time because I had vivid memories of interviews with Casey Hudson, who had said, oh, dude, there's going to be 14 different endings and going to take this. It was like all complete bullshit, right?
I remember when people went and protested physically in front of BioWare in Montreal.
Now that's like stupid and ridiculous.
I remember when that happened.
But the core of it of like, this isn't good enough, you owe us better, I think had some merit considering how bad it was. And I don't know if you remember the blowback from like websites was like, look at these entitled babies who want their thing. The ending's fine. In interviews with the Legendary Edition, like they walk up to people and like, hey, how do you guys feel about the ending? Yeah, we fucked it. Yeah, we really fucked it up. Yeah, I should have done it better.
Oh yeah.
And it's like all that context, all that time, all that distance. It's great. It's fantastic. But I just did a quick look. EA made all these mistakes. Like, this is the most EA pokey do this game that I can think of. And they did make a lot of mistakes, and that did happen. And luckily, they learned from all of those mistakes so that they could release Dead Space 3 a year later with forced co-op and then kill the franchise for not selling 14 million copies.
Yeah.
So, like, I totally understand what you're talking about. Like, yeah, a game had to make these mistakes so that we could learn nothing. And then the same studio and the same publisher could put fucking Anthem out a couple of years ago.
At the very least, outside the bubble that is EA, there are lessons learned from looking at that dumpster fire, you know?
Yeah.
There are lessons learned from a lot of fuck-ups in that era that you kind of are like... And again, like, there's stuff that you just, you know, you realize, oh, this is just never going away. Like, the gas thing is just, it's never going away. There's stuff that's just going to become games forever. But, I mean, I haven't heard about, like, endings and important shit being sold piecemeal as DLC
For a while.
For a long time now. Those three examples are the ones that I can think of.
Yeah, Osira, ME3, and...
Pop Zero.
Well, I think that's all I can... And the Osira's Wrath one, when I found out, like, what the deal with that was, I was like, oh, I kind of get it. They were planning to do a sequel, and then it was like, uh-oh, it's not going to happen. So the story's never going to end. So they wanted to, like, give... But that should have been for free. That's just my opinion. Oh, well. But that's been pretty much it for me. I'm playing a lot of filthy trash this week. I'm playing Death Trash. I'm playing fucking Grime and Forgotten City, which is that Skyrim mod. More Mass Effect, which is, again, great. But it's such a weird feeling of, like, I feel like I'm being hoodwinked. Like... This is totally Mass Effect 3. I'm like, no, this is the Mass Effect 3 of today. Many, many years later. You check more of that crap out over twitch.tv/PatStaresAt. Oh, early ass review of Death Trash. It's fucking good. Go check it out.
Okay.
Death Trash.
Let's take a quick break. And we will be right back. All right. Word from our sponsors.
Man, I love our sponsors.
This week, the podcast is sponsored by Green Chef.
Hey, Green Chef, what up, man?
Healthy food. It's a thing. You should do it.
Good for your body.
I mean, it's good for your body, but it's also like, it's good for not feeling like shit immediately after you finish a meal.
What? Oh, wait, hell, hold on a second. When I eat a big, terrible meal, and then I feel like I have died, and I'm sitting there in my disgusting juices, full to bloated bursting, going, what, that's not what you're looking forward to?
No, you don't want that. The regret like spiral that you fall into needs to stop. Green Chef is out there letting you choose from a wide array of easy to follow recipes, perfect for whatever kind of diet you got going on. If you want something plant powered, if you want to do something keto or even paleo, if you want to just eat more healthy and more balanced in general.
Yeah, like a dinosaur.
Yeah, they've got expert chefs putting together flavorful recipes that go way beyond the ordinary diverse the ordinary meal plans that you might put together, and you want to get good tasting stuff that's actually healthy for you. I have experienced way too much post-meal regret. It's different from the itis, because the itis, at least you can get put to sleep and you don't have to feel it.
You can't regret while you're asleep.
You know? But sometimes you're too full to sleep, and that's... You know that one.
No, I don't know. What are you talking about?
That's the bad one. You don't want that one. Too full to sleep is brutal. I hate it. And that's why Green Chef is going to help us to save us from ourselves. It's a sustainable meal kit. It's also offsetting 100% of the carbon emissions in plastic packaging in every box, so you feel great about what you're eating and how it's getting to your table. You know? It's just that simple. Healthy meals, tasting great, doing better than you can do without all the regret. Go to greenchef.com/superbeast100 and use code superbeast100 to get $100 off, including free shipping. That's greenchef.com/superbeast100 and use code superbeast100 to get $100 off, including free shipping. There you go. Check them out. Number one meal kit for eating well. Thank you, Green Chef. The podcast is... excuse me. Also sponsored by ExpressVPN.
Oh, man. I was using ExpressVPN not 2 days ago.
So, you're feeling all that post-meal regret, and you're too full to go to sleep. So you stay up, and you're like, I'm going to watch something. But then it turns out that you're not allowed because of where you live. What's a person to do?
Hit that ExpressVPN.
And
teleport
button.
Your ass to England.
Exactly. You know, we just found out that JoJo Part 6 is exclusive to Netflix. That's crazy. So
really? Is that true?
Yeah. It's nuts.
Wow. Oh, man, that's crazy.
So we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But what if you live somewhere that says you're not allowed to experience JoJo? What, are you going to listen to them? Hell no.
No,
you get ExpressVPN, which is it works on your smartphone, it works on your computer, it works on all your devices. It encrypts your network data to make sure that you are secure and private. Your ISP does not see where you're located, and you can, just like that, besides all the other privacy implications, you can watch things wherever you want by telling them, yeah, I'm standing right here in Lucky Land. Show me all the JoJo. you know?
I mean, you ever use public Wi-Fi at a coffee shop on your laptop? I'm sure some people have. But, like, that's the internet equivalent of dipping your penis into the bottom of the urinal. You don't want to do that. Protect yourself with ExpressVPN.
Stop handing over your personal data to ISPs and tech giants who mine your activity and sell your info. Protect yourself with the VPN that can keep you private online. Visit expressvpn.com/superbeast. That's expressvpn.com/superbeast to get 3 extra months free. Go to expressvpn.com/superbeast right now to learn more.
Thanks, ExpressVPN.
Be careful with the urinal.
Careful.
All right. So
I was sitting here during that ad read, and like somebody mentioned something about throwing up outside an Olive Garden once, in that they thought they were good, but then as soon as they started to walk outside, they were like, "Oh no, too much," and I started to completely lose it. I have tears in my eyes. Oh man,
all right, so last but not least, the podcast is also sponsored by Bespoke Post. So, hey, you get all full and you bloated up, and then you finish watching all your JoJo's, and then you're like, you know what? I gotta go walk this off. So what do? We head outside. And who knows what's out there? Right?
and this could be there.
And this is where Bespoke Post comes in handy, because they've got all kinds of useful, multi-purpose box of awesome collections that you guys can get, and, you know, it'll get you ready for whatever's going on. They've got grooming goods, summer styles, travel, outdoor gear, whatever's happening, because you gotta walk off that gut, you know? Sometimes you gotta just take a hike, literally. So it's you go to boxofawesome.com. They've got a quiz, and you fill it out. Your answers help them pick the right box of awesome for you. They have new boxes every month, tons of different categories, so you pick what works best for your tastes. I know personally I was fond of the outside blanket and hammock. That was a really cool combo,
Man,
because
I could go for a hammock right now.
yeah, that was one set that was ready to go. I got one of those, and I'm like, yep, just get me a nice tree or two to hook it up to.
Man, I don't imagine the trees come in the box.
Tree does not come in the box. You can also get yourself a multi-purpose outdoor utility knife that can just do tons of things. It can help you with your gardening or cutting through the brush, doing whatever you got to do out there in nature. And or they just got, like, you know, some styles for outdoors and summer wear, shades and things like that. All kinds of different flavors for whatever you're up to. So they're customized to your tastes when you take that quiz. And you can get 20% off your first monthly box when you sign up at boxofawesome.com and enter code SUPERBEAST at checkout. That's boxofawesome.com, code SUPERBEAST for 20% off your first box. It's free to sign up. You can skip a month or cancel any time. And you're getting over $70 worth of gear inside each box for only $45. So once again, that's boxofawesome.com, code SUPERBEAST for 20% off your first box. Thanks, Bespoke Post.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, we're done.
We did I did it.
So yeah, I guess might as well start there. The trailer dropped for Stone Ocean, JoJo Part 6.
Woo.
And it is a Netflix exclusive.
That's weird.
It is, but it's also not, in the sense that Netflix just paying attention and goes, yeah, people like JoJo.
They like it.
We're taking it now.
So I have a question. Is the older JoJo's going to come to the... Oh, it's right there.
It's already there.
I see 3 seasons.
They were... Okay, so I know that they got up to... I know that they got Stardust Crusaders and they got them late. I think they're still going to have to get the rest, perhaps later on or such. They were always after, of course, Crunchyroll and such, but...
this is a bizarre...
Yeah.
So I typed in JoJo and I got JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Seasons 1 and 2, and thus spoke Kishibe Rohan.
They got the Rohan specials.
And nothing else. I don't see...
Apparently Japanese Netflix has some parts that American doesn't. It's confusing.
Sounds like a good time to use ExpressVPN, goddammit!
Right? It's a confusing thing. Because up until this point, Crunchyroll had them all, and then Netflix is getting involved for Part 6 because they know it's a big deal. But clearly, they're jumping on the bandwagon at a point in which they didn't have the rest of it all available for people to catch up to now. But they still are like, yeah, but come here for the exciting next part of JoJo. Anyway, so that weirdness aside... Nothing else to say. The trailer looks fucking baller. It looks amazing. The casting is fucking perfect, and the music is great, and everything looks absolutely perfect. I have literally nothing to say except I can't wait.
I'm crossing my fingers for dub voice to be the Kira Buckland.
Of course. That, the world would be on the wrong timeline if she did not get it. It's the one thing that would still prove that we can have nice things in this world. Has to happen.
Are you ready for a bunch of people to be like, why is Dio sleeping in a bed with Poochie?
Probably. Also, we got to find out. We got to get the Poochie casting, too. I wonder how that's going to go. Also... So there's 2 things, right? Part 1 is... Not part 1, but the first thing is Kira needs to get cast. And the second thing is Shoko Nakagawa needs to sing the intro.
Sure.
She sings Sorairo Days, Gurren Lagann.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah, do that.
And she's a giant JoJo mark. And she's hyper obsessed with... with the series, and has also we've seen her interviewing Araki and losing her mind and fucking freaking out and licking Jotaro and all that shit. But
wait, is she the fucking psycho?
She's a super fan.
That's sitting there in the Jotaro costume, going, "I want Jotaro to get me pregnant and spit on me" and all that shit.
And she also did the sickest cover of Sonochi no Sarame that anyone's ever done to date. Which,
she definitely has to do the song. That's just obvious.
No, go listen to her cover of Sonochi no Sarame and realize that she has to do part 6. There's just no other way around it. So there's 2 things that have to happen for Stone Ocean to be perfect. Yep. I mean, who else are you going to give it to? Someone that might get stabbed by Shoko if she doesn't get the gig?
Let's see it go down the list. Although, ideally, her recording it from jail would be appropriate.
It would be the most appropriate. From a Florida prison.
Why the fuck would she go to Florida? It's a thing. Don't worry about it. God. Hey, to everybody excited for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 6, I have one recommendation for you. Go catch up on The Sixth Sense if you haven't seen it already.
Yeah. Sure. You know, I would I don't think it would be bad to recommend that you also literally, if you want to, if you're curious and you don't want to wait, reading it ahead of time and then just enjoying the watch when it comes would also be valid. A really valid way to go. Exactly. There's some of you might be out there going like, nah, I just want to enjoy it as the anime. And it's like, you can read it ahead of time and still enjoy this journey. You know? I think you might. I'm
in a weird place where like I know a bunch of the stuff, but I never personally read it. And my personal excitement for the anime is that this is going to be the most fun in terms of copyright hilariousness so far.
It's going to be batshit, but it's also going to be like the journey through this season is going to be crazy. Like, you can really save yourself a lot of problems by just reading it and then enjoying the ride. Like, it's
you got a point.
You know, that's all I can say. Just I know, and if you don't want to, that's fine. Then just enjoy it that way too. But
yeah, I'm torn. I'm torn because there's a.
I know it's not the same, but I'm just telling you, maximum enjoyment might come for some of you by reading it first.
It's a very weird situation because manga gets adapted into anime so regularly, but because like personally, I would much rather watch a show than read a manga.
Mm-hmm. I understand.
And part of that is because I can blow through a manga in like, you know, I did like, let's say 35 volumes of Berserk in a weekend kind of thing. You know, like just fly through it. I don't even appreciate it. I want to know what happens right now. And my patience is not enough to even focus on every individual page. So there's a weird element of like, this is me being crazy, but there's a part of it that I'm sure applies to others, which is now that the Part 6 anime has been announced, it has gone from being, hey, I should really catch up on the JoJo manga because I haven't read the Part 6, to, do I really just want to read all the storyboards for the new anime season so that I don't get spoiled? Right? Like, the context changes me. Wait, why are people saying the whole season's going to be there day one? Is that a thing? I seriously doubt that.
The Netflix drop?
Yeah.
Is it?
Oh, I don't think so. I think that some guy said that.
Is that confirmed? Because no. Don't make things up. Netflix does that sometimes, but Netflix also sometimes does things weekly. There are shows that get updated playlists on weekly, so no, don't take that as
I think
truth.
That's the fake news.
Yeah. Don't assume just because it's on Netflix it's all going to be there. That's been.
I'm gonna go look up my own fake news. Excuse me.
Yeah, there have been multiple shows on Netflix that have been a weekly release for a while now. So no, that's not a thing anymore. Anyway, look, I hear you on the storyboard thing, and I'm not gonna say anything more. I'm just gonna say that it would be good and that I suggest it. If you don't want to, if you have any resistance at all, then fine, just wait and watch it. But if you are willing to and you don't have any resistance or any problems with enjoying the manga, you'd probably like this whole thing more. You'll probably enjoy yourself more if you went and read it and then enjoyed the ride as it got animated. That's it.
There is something actually super weird about its release. It's coming out on Netflix in December, but it's coming out on Japanese TV in January.
Very weird. Well, anyway. Yeah. If you can wait, if you don't care, all those stuff, then good for you. No problem. Damn, I like that new theme too kicking in. You're just like, okay, here's the first glimpse of a song I'm gonna be listening to for a while now. So Looks good. It's you have to kind of like forget about JoJo for the couple years between, or for like a while before it comes back each time. And when you do, it's like, yay, something to look forward to again. It's exciting. Yeah. Okay, why is Wooly pushing the manga? Because there's stuff that can like hit you that are probably going to be like spoil discussed online and shit. There's stuff that's going to be.
I can't wait for that to happen in the anime.
It's a crazy season, and there's a lot of things, and there's just. Yeah, it's it's some inoculation of sorts, you know, but it's fine. It's fine. Whatever. Do what you want. Yeah, why wouldn't you push the... There you go. Anyway, so that's JoJo. December. It's coming. Then we have this Titanfall game.
Oh, man. Oh, okay. All right, let's do it.
Whew.
I couldn't make heads or tails of the story. I got confused.
Well, because now we're entering... You know how we talk about like the levels of madness that EVE Online goes into?
Yes.
This is approaching that.
It's getting there.
And because Titanfall and its servers being hacked and the Save Titanfall project and all of this have they've come to a head, and we've gotten to the climax of the story, and answers have been uncovered, and credit to there's a lot of people over on the Reddit that were discussing this, but I want to say Upper Echelon Gamers on YouTube put together a pretty good breakdown on the fucking insanity of the story and the truths that we are now learning. So to catch you back up very quickly, Titanfall 1's servers became the product of a mass DDoS attack that stopped people from being able to play it for a long time. Eventually, and the malicious messages and shit were put up, and it was very clear you couldn't, no one could play it and such. It eventually started happening to Titanfall 2, and then that was the state for a very long time, yet people were still... there were still people that could buy these games not knowing that the servers were completely fucked. So there's a whole movement to be like, hey, EA, please fix these servers. Respawn, please fix these servers. Like, it's insane. We can't fucking play, and people might be spending their money on literally like a disc that just does nothing on a coaster. Okay, so then all of that led to the story the other week where Apex Legends got hacked and then became unplayable, and there was a message on the boot screen, on the launch screen, that was basically Titanfall is under attack, go to savetitanfall.com. When you go to savetitanfall.com, there's a detailed description of exactly what I was just telling you about, how both servers... how both games came to be hacked, and how they were continuously under attack, and how people were basically just holding the game, for ransom or whatever. They're hostage, and there's nothing anyone could do about it. So, they also, there's a bunch of, the people that hack Apex point everyone to savetitanfall.com, and then Save Titanfall goes, yeah, we don't have anything to do with that Apex hack. We just, this has been a project that we've wanted people to know about for the longest time. But yeah, but whatever, like the Apex, like whatever that was, we don't know. Then on the Titanfall forums, someone comes out and makes a giant post, describing what they can do to fix the problem, and like looking at all the data, looking at everything that was posted. There's a very technical breakdown on exactly how the games are being hacked on savetitanfall.com. And this person kind of comes out with a breakdown of all of that and says, like, here's how we could fix the problem. But you know, like I'm working with some other people that are very talented and such, and I think we can do this, but like we'd need to get cooperation from Respawn in order to make some of this happen, by like, you know, working with them personally on their servers and fixing some of these things that I'm proposing here, right?
Right.
So everyone starts pushing this, and this becomes a fairly like it's a light at the end of the tunnel, you know. Everyone, and then this becomes the move. It's like, okay, we can save Titanfall, we can do it. This guy knows what he's talking about, and then someone starts talking to upper echelon gamers who has basically leaks and screenshots and details and info and a whole lot of Discord logs that point to this giant crazy conspiracy where the person who came out as the savior of Titanfall was actually the person who was involved in hacking it in the first place.
Of course they were.
And it was unclear initially as to like whether like how many people there were, and then like what this whole like what the point of all this was. And then the again, just tons and tons of logs got put together, and then eventually the SaveTitanfall.com people also put together a giant like crazy almost 100-page document with logs and shit about like what these backroom discussions were between the people that were hacking and shutting down Titanfall. And it turns out that, and I might be getting a lot of these details wrong, so like check the links I'm going to put in the docket for this, you know. But to the best of my ability to recount this insanely dense story that I kind of got, is there was an initial person who hacked Titanfall 1 and was really obsessed with it and like had grievances or whatever. And then some other people came along and discovered like how and what was going on with that. And then they got together and formed a group of people that basically all had grudges against Titanfall and were looking to keep the game inaccessible and unplayable, and then start this campaign of like telling people to save Titanfall and getting the public on their side. They did an interview with Eurogamer about this as well in order to get some press, and they also would target streamers that were trying to play. They would go to their games and target them with specific messages so that you'd have these big public moments. And this was all in order to get Respawn to directly work with them, to give them control or access to the game's servers, and so that they would have the ability to freely control them. And in their backroom Discord discussions, they talked about how by seizing control of the servers and getting them from Respawn, they could use all of this to basically support their ultimate goal of resurrecting a canceled game called Titanfall Online that was supposed to come out in China that was canceled, and they want to resurrect it with a community-based build of that game with their own mods and their own shit. And so they are trying to shut down the entire Titanfall server base across both games and even Apex if need be, to get to basically create a ransom situation that forces them to take control of Titanfall from Respawn, and then push this resurrection of Titanfall online.
I think my favorite part of this is like it's such an elaborate plan that so much of it was actually going well, but the end goal is, all right, we're gonna take control of the servers, like, oh, because we're helping out, and then we're gonna take all this stuff and we're gonna do it. And like that part of the plan seems to have no details, because it seems to assume that Respawn's gonna go, oh, I guess they took the code. Oh, okay, it's done. Oh well.
It's
like,
complete.
No, they get fucking sued and arrested.
It's complete batshit, and like I have no idea. I don't understand why the Titanfall Online Resurrection project is such a big deal to them to begin with. I don't know if they're disgruntled people who worked on the original game who are mad that it got canceled.
No. That's not what it is. I'll tell you right now.
But then why do they have access to its like source code and like why do they have so much on
because
this particular?
Crazy.
Because so then they got their hands on the canceled game then, or at least like enough of its source code to like do something that has full community control with it. There were ex-devs, because that's the thing is
devs.
That's the thing is like you're like, I don't know how they would have so much like.
Oh, then they're crazy ex-devs.
I don't. It's so confusing how they would start out with so much power and so like with the fucking TFO build and everything like that to begin with, unless they were given that shit. So it's super weird, but.
Just make your own knockoff game.
Yeah, and their whole thing is like there's like the conversations behind, you know, the closed doors and shit are all about like fuck Titanfall. I don't care if it never works again. We don't care about any of it. If it dies, then then like good. It's all it'll help us bolster support around the TFO community. You know, that we're going to create. So it sounds like this insane case of revenge for a game that got canceled and now it bleeds all the way up to Apex.
This isn't Char's counterattack, guys. You're just going to get sued.
And just like, the idea that like, yeah, you're actually going to get them to negotiate with terrorists and hand over like the keys to Titanfall 1 entirely and just not. Yeah, we're just gonna walk off into the sunset and that'll be it. It'll be a happy community game.
We did it. We got the source code. We can resurrect it. Hello, officer.
Yeah.
Like, what?
It's wild, and then like the back and forths of like people that are like taking on multiple pseudonyms, and the whole game is not like, it's not just the petty revenge. It's petty revenge, but also we have to manipulate the community into being on our side. You know. So yeah.
Just make a knockoff game.
I prefer last week when I thought it was just some idiot who loves clout going, hey, look at me, look how good I am, I can shut the game down.
Just make like a game called Tumble Deities or something.
Like the idea that it was possibly the people who just were mad about the game being canceled coming back sounds like Saturday morning cartoon villain shit.
Oh yeah, this is Cobra Commander putting missile silos in every like Red Rocket like burger restaurant.
Isn't this exactly fucking Syndrome and The Incredibles?
Pretty close. Pretty close.
You know? Just or Arkham Knight, like any of these, like take your pick. Yeah. Literally just The Incredibles again, you know? So, anyway, I don't know how this concludes, but everyone in the community has now been made aware of this entire fraudulent thing, and and they never would have gotten caught. The crazy thing about this too, from all the logs that they have, is that this whole thing never would have happened if they weren't trying to play this community manipulation game. You know, if they weren't trying to like get the people on their side and like accidentally saying things or revealing things and you know, saying things that's like, why would you know this, or like, why would you have, you know, like things that just didn't line up. And again, credit to this YouTube channel that did some fucking crazy investigative reporting and digging here, you know, on the truth, because It's a batshit conspiracy.
This type of person that does this stuff tends to be madly in love with the like righteous attention they receive. They can't help it. It's like the evil version of when people can't wait to show off their fan game.
Okay.
Right? And it's like, look at my fan game that I made. Everyone's like, you should shut your fucking mouth. But they're like, but I want people to tell me it's cool because it's cool, right? And people are like, it is cool. And then Nintendo goes, it is cool. Die.
Yeah. And then like, or even preemptive indignation. Like, why won't Nintendo buy my game from me? You know, sometimes you just get these occasional like wacky ass weirdos.
I'm that man. Why won't Nintendo hire me, that man?
Yeah. So, you know, we'll see where this goes, but for now, that plan is obviously fucking scrap, and any community-based Titanfall online resurrections will be shunned and hated by the entire community indefinitely, forever, for all time. So now that your goals are squashed, what happens? Is it still worth it to keep hammering the servers? Do you give up and just fucking put your tail between your legs? What do? You know? Spite? Do you just shut down like both games now out of spite?
Yeah. Fuck it. That's what I would do.
It costs money though. But they could. They could.
But if I'm EA in this situation, I'm rich. So you get to have a little bit of spite freebies.
Yeah. Again, I was so convinced that this was just some fucking script kiddies looking for attention and shit, because like, even again, you go to the breakdown of it on SaveTitanfall.com, and it shows you how like they're just like they're having like what was it like N-word bomb or N-word flood, you know, as the name of the code that's like hammering the servers, and just all kinds of shit in the way that it's being hacked that sounds like it's just dumb edgy kids, you know.
Well, hey, guess what? It's dumb edgy adults who want the attention. Like, your age guess was off by about 10 years, but the rest of it's like, yeah, no, it's some script kiddies who want some attention.
What I would love to see is the cost of this entire operation, and I'd like to discover at what point between that and the effort put in, it would have been cheaper to just work with that team on a different game featuring robots and pilots that you could have made if you're that talented.
No, but it's gotta be the like, okay, this is off topic. This is I'm going on a tangent here. I love characters, and I like to have a story continue, right? But like most of the time, and I mean 99% of the time, those aren't the most important things, particularly in a game. It's the style and it's what you're actually doing. So let's take Bloodstained, for example. I'm sad that Dracula isn't there, but Bloodstained's a fucking Castlevania game, and it's a pretty good one. It's not the end of the world that Dracula can't be there. Mm-hmm. You could easily make a Titanfall-ish game that has ogres that fall down, that ogre strike.
Sure, whatever.
Drop your ogres. Your ogres coming in hot with your whatever. Like, it's
and being a hacker that knows how to DDoS a game server doesn't make you a developer. But being an ex-developer of a Titanfall game makes you a developer.
Yeah.
So as far as the capabilities are concerned, you know, I feel like if this is who these people are, then more than any other just hackers, they might be capable of doing it.
It's just weird. It's like we've seen this over and over, and it's like this weird obsession where it has to be the exact same thing. It has to be. And like this does tie into like all the fan games that we tell everyone to shut up about that get shut down. Like you know, hey, I made a Streets of Rage thing, or hey, I made a Metroid thing. Isn't that cool? And then maybe they get killed, right? And it's like, if you're able to make a really good Metroid game that's a fan game, or a really good Pokemon game that's a fan game, why don't you just make your own thing that you get to have?
Yeah.
And it can be yours. And you don't have to live in that fucking caveat where it's like, well, it's only fair. I can't ever make any money off of it. I don't own it, and I can get sued, yada, yada, yada.
Mm-hmm.
Do your own fucking thing and own it.
Agreed.
Like,
now there's two. There's two.
I don't like is clearly a Super Metroid fan game.
Or Mother 4 turned into its own thing. You know?
Yeah. Oh god, what's it called? It's Weird Thing. What the fuck is that called? Oddity.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. You just got, you know. But here's the thing, right? There's two reasons to answer the question as to why. One is because, and this is fully valid. Is there's a lot of times when someone really talented will just try to recreate what they know and they like in order to learn about how to make games, right? So sometimes it's literally just a learning process, and they're like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like I'm only doing this, like those insane mods of Dark Souls, or you know, like I'm only making this remake of whatever, you know, Nintendo game that I love in order to learn about this process, and then I'm definitely gonna do my own shit afterwards. So you're looking at the learning process, right? And then the other thing is that, but also combined with like a deep like nostalgia and dedication to the franchise, and like like a fandom level where you're like, I love this franchise, this game, this whole thing, like more than any other thing I want to work on. I'm not as passionate about any of my own ideas as I am about this world that I already care about. And I'm going to take those skills and put it into that version because, you know, like creating my own Pokemon list is not as like, or rather like creating a Pokemon world that has my own Pokemon is way more appealing than creating my own Temtems, you know?
I totally get that, but like on a practical basis, like it's self-defeating.
Yeah, no. The second one is a big cause of why a lot of this shit just ends up going tits up and never coming out, and it's the cause for the video that I made, you know? But the former, the reasoning where it's like, yeah, I'm just learning how to code and I'm going to probably make my own shit after this, but for now, this is my practice, is I'm recreating Super Metroid, then fuck yeah, I get, like, by all means, you know? Or I'm hacking Earthbound and doing my own, you know, weird mods of it, and then once I get my bearings, I'm going to get RPG Maker and make Undertale. You know?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's probably my favorite example of like that's functionally Mother 4 in all but name.
Excuse me, Game Maker, not RPG Maker. Yeah.
It's also way better than Earthbound.
So that's what it is. It's just there's some folks that are doing it for the practice, and you're seeing the practice project, and there's some folks who are like, they're like, no, they care way more about, you know, whatever that world was. And of course, you know, like if you have something like Sega where they're encouraging fan games, and like Sonic fan games are more than okay and such, then you get a community that, like, you know, can thrive on that and people can work together. So it starts to go into other reasoning once you start getting to like territory where like the creator is in the okay with it, you know. But all the sketchy stuff that we see where you're just like, this is destined for cease and desist. That's the reason why, you know?
Like, you know what's a really good example of this? Which is, so there was actually a massive thread on the subreddit relatively recently over us talking about Crowsworn, which just got a Kickstarter, and it aced it. It's going to come out no problem. In which we were joking about how like laughably similar its art style is to Hollow Knight and its game style, and we were joking about how like there's like inspired by, and then there's like I need a magnifying glass to make sure the assets aren't the same, which was,
and it still looks good.
That's a joke. I'm not implying that Crowsworn actually stole assets from Hollow Knight. That's ridiculous. But like, I love Hollow Knight. I think Hollow Knight's one of my favorite games ever. If Hollow Knight was owned by Bandai Namco or some shit, and the devs wanted to make another Hollow Knight but couldn't, and so they made Crowsworn, I'd be like, cool. New thing. Just as good as the old thing.
Yeah.
If, I don't know, I love Dark Souls a whole bunch, and they're putting out this Elden Ring game that has nothing to do with Dark Souls. Cool, it's a new thing. Just as good as old thing.
I'm resisting the urge to not fall into the tired woolly talking point of like new things good, you know, and sequel more of the same is good, fine. You recognize that, but the talent that made the thing you like can also make another new thing you don't know about that you like. You know?
One of my favorite games ever, I don't talk about it that much, is it's called Lone Survivor. It's a Silent Hill game that's not made by anybody with Silent Hill. And it was made by a gentleman who made an indie game called Quiet Mountain 2. Which again was Silent Hill 2, but he changed the name so it counted, right? And it's like, hey, cool, new thing. It doesn't have to be like Silent Hill actually like killed itself with like it has to be Silent Hill all the time, and it has to have Pyramid Head, and it has to have this, and it has to have that. And it's like, no, just do a new thing. And yes, I am aware that I talked about how much I didn't like Bloodstained as much because it doesn't have Dracula. But that doesn't mean I didn't play Bloodstained because of it.
I think the way I said this some time ago was nobody would have asked for Bayonetta before Bayonetta existed. They would have asked for more Devil May Cry. You know?
Yep.
And if you go, what would you like more of? Everyone would say more Devil May Cry, and that'd be it. And as someone who fucking loves that franchise, it's like, yeah, that's fine, that's cool, that's good. But if you're the talented people that know how to do this kind of game, I want to see new ideas from you. I want to see you create IPs that you have control over, that can build on top of what we got before and do other things, you know? Like, and now we want Bayo 2, and now we want Bayo 3, and we're waiting on that. But like, I'm like, hey man, if the people that I fucking trust that made these games are getting together and working on another thing, whatever it is, let it rock. I'm super open because I trust your talent and your skills.
Oh man, somebody just summed up this entire conversation in like a classic quote, and it was, "Sir, I would like a faster horse." Are you familiar with that story?
I'm not.
It's from about Ford when he invented the automobile. If I asked people what they wanted, they would have told me they wanted a faster horse.
Yes, I've heard that before. Exactly. Yes, exactly. That is it. That is it to a T. You know, and I mean like this, and it gets into everything. Is like every time and everything. Like there's nothing wrong with liking something and wanting more of it, but like to the point where you shut down new things is where I'm like, is that where you lose me? You know, there was a thread I retweeted that was talking about like, you know, that was 80% new characters, 20% returning in a fighting game, or 80% returning characters, 20% new, you know, and vice versa. And it's like those are extreme numbers, And the whole point is like, yes, obviously, this is not the 50-50 compromise that would be solid and fine by anyone's metric. But the point is in a non-compromising way, when we always want to go for that 80% familiar, 20% new. Like, that sucks. Like
yeah, you end up with 4 games in a row that have almost the same roster.
And that's it. And yes, Soul Calibur 5 represents a botching of that ratio because the new characters were not compelling enough. But Tekken 3 and Street Fighter 3 and Garo Mark of the Wolves and there's so many games that represent not that, where
I think
Mortal Kombat 10
like a poison pill example, because everybody looks at Street Fighter 3 New Generation and goes, hey man, they tried all new characters and that game bombed. And it's like, I think New Generation sucks ass compared to like Alpha 2 at the time. Giant Attack's way better and Third Strike's way better than that, but like it definitely wasn't just the character choices.
Certainly not. Like, when the gameplay gets worse, the gameplay gets worse no matter what. Even if it was familiar characters and the gameplay was worse, then that's a separate aspect we're discussing. But in terms of just familiarity, when the game is good, like, you know, and that's what you have to like account for here. Like, no amount of like Soul Calibur kids coming out and being inferior versions of what they were or whatever the case is going to cover that up. But Mark of the Wolves comes along and has, like, you know, one returning cast member and is fucking solid top to bottom. Street Fighter 3, like, they had to put multiple, they had to upgrade it over time and get it to the point Third Strike was at, and that's a gameplay improvement thing, you know. But I understand too as well that when I say this, like, it is not a popular opinion. It is one that most people would resist because a faster horse is what I understand, people and it is what I like. It's what I like. I'm already here. I'm already invested in what I like. You're asking me to put faith in the unknown, you know?
You know what my favorite example of this is? It's Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy's got like some birds that are the same and some spell types and like general themes maybe and like a type of rock that they like to keep between the games. And aside from that, outside of some relatively rare outliers, they could have all been completely different and not have that name on them at all. Like, there's like, Final Fantasy is by far the least connected franchise ever. And a bunch of those games are great.
So we can actually just ride this wave right into the next bit, because it's like, you know, when I get lots of messages from people asking me, dude, how bummed are you that the final Street Fighter V character wasn't Makoto? I'm like, I don't give a shit. I love Makoto. That's cool.
A holding pattern for SF6 at this point.
She got her return last time. I didn't expect it. That's fine. Like, it not happening again is like totally okay. You know, Oro didn't get a chance last time. It's dope to see him come back. He completely missed out on the last
Street Fighter 6, the core grappler will be Hakan.
And it's the
part
same
of the starting roster.
And it's the same for, you know, like like how bad do you want Baiken to be on that DLC list for Strive? And I'm like, yeah, I don't care. It'd be fine, but she doesn't have to. If she wasn't there, I'd be totally okay with it. You know, I'm fine with the new. And at the same time, once you get to a point where you're like, well, we start completing out the roster, and then you start getting to a point where 4 seasons later, we're now bringing everyone back, then it's like, all right, sure. Let's see what it's going to look like when you eventually do bring her back, you know?
Now, don't get this confused. All right. I look at Luke, for example, in SF5, and what I see is a dude that sucks ass and I don't give a shit about. But that's not because he's a new character. It's because he looks like he sucks ass. There's a bunch of new characters in Street Fighter V that I think are dope. I think Abigail rules. I think G is incredible. Those are the two that I like mainly. But like, I think Luke just looks like a fucking putz, like the most nothing. Like I don't. He's the MMA guy with the shitty American flag tattoo.
Yeah, I disagree. I like him, but we gotta look at the actual to get to the story. We gotta look at Oro.
Yeah, Rashid's cool. You guys are right.
Akira, and yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of new characters that were pretty dope altogether. Were they like 50-50? I wonder, because
Did I like invent a character in my mind? I feel like there's an SF5 character that's just some chick with like a baton, like some
Falk.
cop with a baton.
Falk.
No, not her. Not
Poison?
Falk. No. I think I'm gonna go look at.
You're if you the word baton means you're definitely thinking of Falk, and if not, Lucia. The cop?
I'm scrolling at Lucia. Yeah, it's Lucia.
Yeah, she's from Final Fight 3.
Oh man, who gives a shit?
I do.
This is
She's
like
from Final Fight
worst of
3.
all role.
That's fine. That's a cool thing.
I'm glad you put Lady Striker into the game.
I like the fact that, like, you know, it's like if we're not gonna do, if the Final Fight is dead, then we can bring it into this franchise. That's dope. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. Anyway,
that's why you need new characters so you don't end up with Lucia.
Lucy. Nothing wrong with that. They had to basically reinvent her from that era, anyways, considering how old it is. She basically is.
You might as well make a new character.
There's nothing wrong with Lucia. She's fine. Anyways, yeah, so we got to see Oro. It's interesting seeing how they integrate his system into the 5-1. We've talked about it before. It's interesting seeing too as well, like how they go, all right, we're gonna give him everything, you know, but he needs to be able to compete in a game where someone with full super and full V trigger can pretty much one-shot you. So how are we gonna do that? And that's by making him even nuttier than he was before, you know. So he's got like he's got the new combo filler kick. He's got the V trigger 1 and or 2 where he gets the extra hop. Calling out 5 rocks instead of 3, so they bring back some of the variability as well. Looks pretty cool. And instead of having his arm tied back, he's just juggling his turtle. So that's fun. Akira
also wearing underwear.
Yes. He was the coloring of the knots on his belt in Third Strike were extremely unfortunate. Akira's in it. She's fucking dope. Her air combos have the exact gravity and rhythm that they did in Rival Schools and Project Justice. So that's a really cool throwback as well. The flash when she does her tardy counter or her double team attack is exactly like Rival Schools, so that's cool. I super love the fact that the theme from the intro to Rival Schools 1 plays when like her music's playing as well. That shit's badass. So, you know, at the end of the day, yes, sometimes the old thing is cool. Sometimes the new thing is cool. Sometimes, as I tweeted, the stylish dressed KOF character design is cool. Sometimes the big freak is cool. I love all kinds of fighting game things, and that includes the MMA fighter, the person who is kind of like representing what modern day fighting looks like in real life. And the way I was talking to Reggie about this is when Street Fighter 2 exploded, when you thought of a fighter, you thought of martial artists wearing karate gis and Muay Thai gear and Bruce Lee in the tights, you know,
and boxers.
Yep. And that was the image, right? And if MMA was then what it is today, that look of an MMA fighter would have been just as quintessential to the genre.
Oh, my issue isn't that he's an MMA fighter. My issue is that we're stuck with Kevin Bryant 2.0.
I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying the overall, the categorization of that type of fighter is something that, like, it took a while to get it into the rosters of these games. I feel as if, like, around the era of, like, VF4, you know, or so, like, you started to get into, like, you started to see kind of like UFC type looking people, or Mia showing up in Dead or Alive 5 and shit like that. But it happened later because, like, that was a gradual thing that happened with fighting, you know. So, yeah, I like seeing that archetype show up more these days. Now that being said, yeah, this is the look at Street Fighter 6. His name is Luke, probably the poster boy. He's probably the Alex for Street Fighter 6, who will be there.
You're insane. You are absolutely crazy. This character will never come back. You have lost your mind.
Are you serious right now?
Yes.
Did you watch the presentation of the character?
Of course not.
So what the fuck are you talking about?
So they said he's the future of Street Fighter 6.
Literally.
Oh, God. Then fucking give up on SF6.
Why are you talking out of your ass with so much confidence?
Because I expected Capcom to know what they're doing.
Out of your ass with so much confidence. They literally introduced him as the future of the franchise.
Oh, my God.
I'm out of my mind. I'm insane. Anyways.
All right. Everyone is out of their mind then.
So the presentation where they introduce the character, the 3 seconds before the trailer starts, they say, take a look at something that hints at where the franchise is going to go. And this tells us more about the future of Street Fighter. So we shall see. What else is going on with him? So they Max immediately kind of went straight into the Captain Commando theories, and it was like, what is that a thing? And then it's like, hold on a minute, the way that the Capcom logo appears has a flame that looks exactly like Captain Fire shooting out from the left side of the screen. So, and then it shows you a star, so it's like, you know, that's not impossible, that's a possibility. I want to be a man like him, maybe that's it, right? But then, other people started digging his hair. So there's his hair looking like that too, yeah. Other people started digging. They're like, hold on a minute. He also has moves that look identical to Joe from Street Fighter 1. So is there a connection there? And they're like, I don't know, maybe. And then another person's like, hold on a minute. He's got moves that also resemble Kevin or whatever from Street Fighter 2010.
Oh, God. Get out.
So then it's just like, it's just this whole thing of like, wait, is he all the references? Is he none? Is it like, I thought the Captain Commando shit was nuts until I saw the Capcom logo, you know? But yeah, between Joe, Kevin, Captain Commando, it's possible. Like the screenshots, actually, no, I haven't seen the Kevin side-by-sides, but the Joe side-by-sides and the Captain Commando references and the star are not impossible. It could be. One thing's for sure is that, like, I could see them creating a new character that has ties to something bigger and more emblematic of Street Fighter instead of just going completely, you know, like new on it. But, yeah, there's some kind of connection. There's a reference to some guy that he wants to be like. We'll find out. You know, but that's what he is. He's the future of the franchise. He's gonna probably be the Alex. He'll probably be the Alex, and if they have any balls, they'll commit to Bearded Ryu. You know, and Bearded Ryu will be the guy standing in the background of the poster.
I'm so bummed out.
Yep. Okay.
I fucking hate this character so much.
Well,
This is one of the this looks like it was drawn on a fucking napkin and then just put into the game.
You know, if I didn't know what I was talking about there, I would have doubted myself with the absolute veracity with which that came back there.
Oh yeah, no, I'm completely wrong. If that was the case, and everybody seems to agree it is, that I'm super wrong that he's the face of the future. Now I'm just legitimately depressed because it means that Street Fighter 6 is probably going to suck ass because this character looks like shit.
I think he looks cool. I think his moves look super dope as well. I like
his moves look cool.
The rapid fire punches. I like the moves. I like the sway. I like that style. You know, if there's and you know what too, you know what I thought of. I thought about because people made the like, yo, it's Capcom's version of Gai Tendo from Buriki 1, and then I immediately thought of that one game that was rumored to exist years ago that was Capcom working on a realistic fighter that then we never heard like anything about after that one thing. But it was a rumor, and I remember like it was like probably maybe like a year or two into Street Fighter 5 where they're like, oh yeah, they're working on like a realistic fighting game franchise that they want to start. And I was like, oh, I wonder if that was kind of where he was pulled from in some way or something. But then that game, maybe it's not going to happen. Who knows, you know? But if that still is a thing, it could explain the MMA connection. But maybe that game is not a thing, you know?
Do you think that it'll be awkward for the main character of SF6 to have had that scandal where they mocked a bunch of ghosts in the Japanese suicide forest?
No, I don't think so.
Well, then why'd they make Logan Paul the face of fucking Street Fighter?
There was a screenshot of him standing there with the same colors. I saw that screenshot. That was like, yeah, okay. You're not going to unsee that one. And then there's the Popeye arms that get all beefed up. But in the end, you know, I'm like, yeah, let's see it. Let's see where this goes. Let's see what they build it up to. I mean, one thing's for sure, like, if
it was really awkward when you had that storyline where Luke was like looting during the BLM riots for fun and clout. That was a weird thing to put in Street Fighter 6.
If he actually does have connections to Captain Commando in some way, shape, or form, and they do care about that character returning in some way, that'd be unexpected and interesting. But we'll see. It's the franchise. It's the mascot of the company. I'm surprised he's like nowhere to be found for so long.
Is this them finally getting the rights back from NetherRealm so they could put a like Cobra back in the game, like the lame Cobra?
We can move on unless you have any more.
I'm pretty sure I'm done.
Nah,
I think that's all of them.
How about this? You got 2 or 3 more. Wait till we're in the middle of the next couple stories and then throw them out.
I don't have any right now. I could think up more.
Wait for the middle of the next stories and then drop them.
All right.
Okay. So again, keeping the energy of like old thing, new thing. Here's a perfect combination of both. The new PlatinumGames title from Hideki Kamiya is called Soul Cresta. And it's a shmup but they're acting as if it's the sequel to some shit that came out 30 years ago. And it's
come on.
It's a PS4
Moon Cresta? What the fuck is that?
Soul Cresta it's an old school shmup. And I think they teased it on April Fool's Day. If I'm not mistaken, we were first introduced to this game on April Fool's Day. And then later on, it just kind of became real. Hamster Corporation, Hideki Kamiya, and here's the thing. If you watch the shit that he tweets about, it makes perfect sense. Because when he's tweeting...
there's all sorts of things he could develop instead of the thing he's already announced.
There's tons of shots of his personal arcade collection with him playing old shmups, old Raiden style games, and old, Gradius and shit like that. So yeah, here they got it's basically being introduced as a new take on a classic. You have 3 ships you're controlling at the same time. They have basically Unite Morph formations. And it's got Yuzo Koshiro music. As well, and he's like, they had him tweet out. I didn't know his English was so good, by the way. That's pretty cool. But Yuzo Koshiro,
pretty good.
Yeah, was like basically like they had him tweet out this whole like fucking promo video about old shit from back in the day and being asked to work on this sequel after all this time, and they're playing this whole thing up. It just, at the end of the day, it looks like a pretty dope old school exclusive shmup. I think it's PS4 exclusive.
No, it's Switch and Steam as well.
Oh, my bad. Okay.
I have a complex headcanon that just appeared. This thing looks fine. It's not really my thing, but it looks like a cool enough little game.
Shmups are great.
I can only hope that the reason why Kamiya and gang are putting out this shmup before even showing off a single piece of stuff about Bayo 3 is because during Bayonetta 3's development, Kamiya kept putting shmup levels into the game, and the team was like, stop it. Stop doing that. And he was like, fuck you people, I'll go make my own. And that is this.
I buy it. I buy it. He clearly, absolutely adores the genre. And why wouldn't you? Look at Ikaruga. Godlike. I honestly think that like Bayo 3 is probably the most regretful announcement of at least the last 2-3 generations in terms of like how badly timed it was.
It's up there. It's got to be in the front running.
Because everyone would have just been sitting here going, damn, they should make Bayo 3. And that would have been the end of the thought if nothing was said.
Instead, when I type Bayonetta into my search box, I get day 1339 of There Is No News.
And all this negative feeling that didn't need to be there if you just held it close to the chest and then, yeah. Speaking of games that go on forever, and spend eternity in development hell.
Oh, that's this man. I don't know where you're going because it could be anything.
We got a video of a canceled game from Gearbox called Duke Nukem Begins.
Did you see scumbag slime freak Pitchford making an ass of himself again?
What happened?
So he goes on Twitter and goes, influencers keep emailing us, begging us for codes and giving us this essay about their qualifications as to why we should send them a code for Tribes of Midgard. Dude, the game's like $20. Like, literally a day after the official Gearbox account goes, hey, email us if you want a Tribes of Midgar code. We're sending codes out for review. Come on and ask. Like, what is this, a fucking scam? Come ask us for review codes so we can shame you into trying to buy the game?
Which game was that?
Tribes of Midgard.
What was that? I don't remember what that is.
You don't really need to. It's not that good, apparently. So it feels like they backed out of sending people codes and then was like, just buy it, losers.
Okay, well, in any case, Duke Nukem Begins is a thing that was happening in 2008 while Duke Nukem Forever was stuck in development hell. So they started basically pitching another Duke game while still working on Forever. And this was a animated vertical slice, as they call it, which is nothing because it's fake gameplay. It's not actually gameplay. It's just the entire thing is a pre-rendered movie of the camera faking, whatever, the camera positioning itself behind Duke to make it look like a third-person action game, and then occasionally switching to other shots. But it's just nonsense. It's just a pre-rendered nothing. But yeah,
it looks really bad too. It looks like a really bad pre-rendered nothing. Yeah,
that's but that's why I for a second I thought we were looking at something that might have been gameplay, because I was like, this isn't good looking. And if you're gonna pre-render something, usually it would be too good to be true. Like that's the whole game.
I think the wildest thing about it is that it has that weird kind of camera/animation quality to it that makes it look like the fake game that they would be playing in the background of like Breaking Bad or something.
Yeah, or like or like what the fuck was it called? Like Grandma's Boy.
Yeah.
But they went through and pre-rendered fake gameplay that looks like bad gamelay.
Oh, this looks terrible. Like
I've never seen anything like it. Like I'm all the controversies where you're like, nah, man, that's a bullshot. The Killzone 3 shit, all that stuff where you're just like, that can't possibly be as insanely good as you make it out to be. And here it's like, no, this actually might convince you because it ain't fucking that great.
Oh, I don't know. It looks fucking terrible. Oh, God, somebody in the chat nailed it. It looks like the video that would be attached to, like, a fake mobile game.
Oh, an ad for a mobile game. Yeah. It totally, the ad for a mobile game that's also a lie. Definitely. But yeah, Duke Nukem Begins was supposed to be pitched for 2008. Obviously, it was not going to happen due to Duke Nukem Forever still in development, which then came out 3 years later. But they put everything, the quote was, they put everything they had into the cinematic, and it was canceled due to legal issues. But 13 years later, they're still proud of it, and they wanted to put it out.
They should not be.
Yeah, that's a franchise that can kindly and safely go away indefinitely.
I don't think Duke would be well received today.
I think Duke can die, and that'd be fine. Maybe. Unless they brought it back and it was his son, Tim Nukem.
Oh, God.
This world is more suited for Tim. So there was that. And speaking like dated shit and speaking like dated shit and horrible characters and treating women like shit. The French union suing Quantic Dream has come out with news that Quantic Dream has sent death threats to whistleblowers through anonymous accounts, use of bots, harassing personal phone numbers, and installing wild collages in their parking lot.
Could we possibly see David Cage in handcuffs over this shit? Because this is like a fantasy dream.
I think a Quantic dream. I think we're actually heading in that direction. When you think about the shit they said in court, when you think about bursting into tears and the lack of control in the most... If there's ever a place that you need to stay in control, it would be in court.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're unable...
I would say that's accurate.
If you're unable to maintain control in court, then why would you maintain control outside of court after finding out who the whistleblowers are?
Yeah, just throw a multi-week-long criminal tantrum. Nothing will happen. I'm sure it'll be fine.
So, this report coming in from Solidaire Informatique.org basically is describing that, ever since 2018, the whistleblowers have gotten death threats at home, endless hounding on text messages, social media, by phone, hacking attempts to their personal email account. It says wild collages, but it doesn't specify what a wild collage is.
I assume it's a bunch of horrible pictures in their parking space.
Well, that's the thing, is you can only imagine the two, like a collage being a gathering of, words and pictures and images together to, hurt the person.
These people are game developers. Do they really think it's as simple as going and making a new account somewhere and then harassing somebody? Do they really think that this will not eventually come back on them?
And then
people are all gonna get caught. They're gonna get caught.
Well, the of all the shit that they're doing, yes, they do. But they're, again, it's no impulse control, right? The same brain that made the decisions that led them to this place to begin with is the one that's now dealing with the consequences.
You're right. You're completely right. Why would they think they would get away with it is a stupid question to ask, because we're talking about people that did all sorts of shit that they also didn't
to begin with
about them getting away with it, because
100%. Me and Punch Mom have this conversation often where there's just a baffling moment of how did you think this was the appropriate response to some insane shit you did? And it's always just because it's the same brain that got into the trouble to begin with.
Yeah, it's like when people ask you, it's you're watching bank robbers have been cornered by the police and they're having a shootout with the police instead of just turning themselves in. And somebody asks you, if you were in that situation, wouldn't you turn yourselves in? You're already caught. I'm yeah, but I'm not the kind of idiot that would rob a bank.
To begin with. So you just, it's that you have to just take that step and go no. You're inserting yourself into the wrong step of the process. You have to back it up to step 0 and insert yourself there and realize, everything after this is a fucking clusterfuck. This is just yeah. And then they were also using bots to uncover the anonymity of the whistleblower.
Oh my god, they're so gonna get caught.
So it's fucking hostile and insane. But that's what's going on.
Well, Quantic Dream is essentially.
Are they?
I mean, it's
They're here.
done, right? Like
They're here in Montreal. They they moved
what
in.
What a great time to expand, huh?
They moved in. Can go say hello.
Oh.
Yeah. Because, like you're about to say, they're done, but are they done? You know? Anyway. Now would be the time, hopefully, for a lot of talented people to perhaps make an exodus.
That seems like a good idea.
When somebody tries to call out some shit that's happening, and then the response is for the company to put wild collages in the parking lot, you probably don't want to work there. It's probably time to go. I need an elaboration on a wild collage. I'm obsessed with the phrasing of that a little bit. You know?
I don't know what it means.
Are you getting are we talking baby pictures and spray painted messages?
I don't know.
Are like what are
like, it was this weird thing where in the original Quantic Dream thing at court, there was all these things about photo collages there too. I'm like, what's up with the French and the photo collages? Like, why do they gotta harass people via scrapbook?
You know, like, somebody who's walking around trying to live their normal life and encountering these horrible messages and fucked up intrusions on their privacy constantly kind of sounds like the scenario that would occur to a character in a David Cage game.
It does sound like that.
And it sounds like your job would be to protect the victim and do as best you can to uncover who's doing this to them from the shadows and why.
Yeah. That'd be too crazy, though. Let's talk about ghosts!
Ghosts. What kind of ghosts?
Alternate dimension Mexico ghosts?
Not Native American ghosts? Or witch ghosts?
Wasn't it like a big monster? Was that a ghost, or is that like a demon?
Oh, hold on. You're doing the Beyond. I'm doing the Fahrenheits.
Oh my god, I didn't even realize we were talking about two different games. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ.
They all
Holy shit.
So Beyond stands apart, but the rest absolutely blur together to me.
Oh man.
Heavy Rain, Fahrenheit, and Beyond all blur together for me. They're like, I remember that as a sequence of like, when I think of the protagonist of Indigo Prophecy, I just see the Heavy Rain dad. Like, I can't, my brain won't put the face of the Indigo Prophecy guy in, because it's all one fucking, yeah. Anyway, the robots get to be their own separate thing, but just everything else, just, yeah. All right. Just a heads up. Cool game alert.
Cool game alert. Oh, I wish I got more of those.
Check out Dodgeball Academia.
Really?
Yeah. Take a look. Here, I'll post it. Take a look on Twitter.
Oh, okay. Hold on. You got it. Yeah. Okay, here we go.
Funky art style, awesome visuals, cool, clean.
That does look cool.
Clear style to it, and you kind of play something that looks like it would be on Adult Swim or Cartoon Network at this point. A little bit of that OKKO kind of vibe. But yeah, you're playing Dodgeball with an RPG story mode.
That's cool.
Looks dope. At one point, there's a training mission in the footage where he's like breaking a car with dodgeballs. And also, like, the last, 10 seconds is him charging up a Kamehame Hadoken. So, yeah, Dodgeball Academia. Check it out.
Hey, I have a question for you, Wooly.
Dodgeball's really great. It's very fun. Super Dodgeball's cool.
And Wooly, I have a question. Why is it that Captain Commando was able to dodge the ugly Capcom character using blue and yellow curse?
But he does use blue and yellow. He just has a lot of white too.
Yeah, is that the trick? Because I've been complaining about Luke on Twitter, and people are unanimous in that, no, he can't be the worst design. There's Abel and Rufus. And I'm like, oh man, they're all blondes with bright yellow part of their design.
Hmm.
And the same blue. And then I realized it's the colors in the Capcom logo.
Yeah, that's also why I think that's what the protagonist energy is about, is because he's wearing Capcom color logos. Capcom logo colors. Like, that's the first thing I noticed, was like, oh, he's in the exact same hue, blue and yellow. So yeah, Captain Commando he's got the big white vest, but he's still blonde, and he still has the yellow star and on the chest as well. So
do you think that's why Abel was those colors? Because of the Capcom logo?
No, because those were also on the original Abel little girl version.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just the design they had that I think they went with that, and I think they were also going for distinct colors for the entire new roster. So Viper is red, Abel's blue, Rufus is yellow, and Forte's not green, but like they just picked different primary colors.
Forte's green. Yeah, there it is. That's color theory right there. Green Forte.
They picked distinct single. They picked distinct colors for the characters as their primary things to stand out from each other. And yeah, when we were discussing it last time, I was like, I feel like they were probably 50-50 with the new cast, But anyway, that's pretty much it. There's one other story here. It's currently, let me see if I can get the update on it, but it sounds like there's going to be a new chapter of Berserk. Whoa, hey, stop with that, please, thank you. Nope,
me? I wasn't doing anything.
A dumb ad started playing some sounds.
Oh no, don't do that.
A new chapter of Berserk is going to be coming out posthumously. It'll be more or less focusing on a tribute to Miura and his works.
Apparently there are some pages that are like literally the last things he worked on in there.
So it seems like what they're saying is that there are some I say the article makes reference to there being chapters that were banked prior to him passing away. But I couldn't find a source on that. But there definitely is work that Miura has that's unpublished that they'll be able to include in that. And that seems like it'll be the final chapter for now, worked on by his assistants. They also said that there is talks about his assistants possibly continuing it, but it's not confirmed. It's just a discussion, and there's no confirmation that they think that that's gonna be a good idea or that's gonna happen. But at the very least, it was a point that was mentioned here. The source of that is a second article here. Where was it? I personally feel that like the continuing of someone's work is only okay if it has their blessing.
I think that's pretty apparent. Like when Robert Jordan passed away, his wife described that I think Brandon Sanderson would be a cool pick, and she would have known, right?
Yeah. If that's a thing that is known and discussed prior, you know, and they like left them notes and this whole thing was kind of understood leading up to it, then yeah, you know, you accept the passing of the torch with the blessing.
Now I will say that if they're going to posthumously continue Berserk, there needs to be somebody trustworthy with a hammer and a match and a garbage can that gets to read every chapter before it goes out and has the veto power to be like, yeah, this is garbage. Burn it.
Hopefully family, closest friends, people, you know, whoever can be just close by to just look at it and be like, we're good. We'll cap it off here. Thanks, everybody. That's a wrap. You know? And if it happens in a way where... Because, it really depends on the type of project, right? Like, if someone is directing a movie and then they suddenly pass away, it's almost guaranteed that it's going to end up being picked up by someone else that comes along. Whereas a manga is such a personal story over the course of decades that, like, it just doesn't carry that same interchangeability in any way, shape, or form, you know? So anything like that, or like a novel series like George R.R. Martin, I would say you want to have the express, like, permission and torch pass, you know? Or even just, like, a discussion at some point that happens, if it's like a sudden thing, because it's just way too personal, you know. Anyway, let's take some letters.
Hey, if you want to send in a letter, you can send that in to castlesuperbeastmail@gmail.com. That's castlesuperbeastmail@gmail.com.
All right, we got one coming in from Tom. Dear Butler Cape Assets, in episode 128, you guys briefly mentioned what you, a straw man, a person who thinks fuck all sprites.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this man is real. One of my coworkers, who we'll call GT because of the Gran Turismo tattoo on his neck, holds the same opinion.
Wow.
Occasionally, when talking with GT about games he'd ask what I played normally, and I'd show him the list of games I'd play, Enter the Gungeon or Binding of Isaac, and he said they didn't look that great from a visual sense. I said they were not too bad as far as sprites go, but he laughed it off. I figured he was probably just the genre he didn't like. I knew he was into racing games, so I asked him if he heard of Art of Rally, to which he said no. I pulled up my phone to show him, and he's like, is this going to be some other indie pixel game? And I said, no, this one's pretty cool. And after seeing it for less than 30 seconds, and side note, Art of Rally is an artsy racing game. He said, nah, it just doesn't look that great, and dismissed it because it really wasn't pushing graphics too well. If you go look at the game, it's actually quite
Art of Rally
pretty.
looks very nice.
It's gorgeous. I'm writing to you mainly because, anyway, all of that and such. This is a real person, crazy person. So, I think that's not that like from the moment Tommy Tallarico said "fuck you CVS2, get out of here with your old and busted sprites," it was cemented that it's like no, this person is real. But they're definitely
Tommy
not.
Tallarico would also give good scores to games that he worked on.
There's that.
Like,
but yeah, there's definitely a bunch of people who are not exactly the type that would likely be listening to this podcast, but I know and have family and friends that are people who, I guess the only way to look at it is like they see the goal of video games as the something to simulate hobbies to the most realistic way possible, and to simulate war to the most realistic way possible.
So like
and that's the entire goal.
There are like I'm not an artist. And I'm not a particularly artful or art-minded or appreciating person, right? I just like movies and TV shows and occasionally a video game. But there are people out there that legitimately have no sense of aesthetics at all. Like, you could show them a pretty picture and they wouldn't even be able to tell if they liked it. They would just go if it's real or not, or there's a lot of detail. The fact that this gentleman has a Gran Turismo neck tattoo answered this question way before it began, because Gran Turismo's obsession is with hyper realism to an extent that I think nothing else has ever obsessed over. Gran Turismo is obsessed with like every single detail of a car possible.
Yeah,
Somebody who loves it that much, would look at everything else with, why doesn't it look exactly real? This person probably rolls their eyes at things that don't take place in the real world.
No, that's it. Like, no, emulation of reality is that's the whole point. And anything that is not that is just a waste of time. You know? Yep, that's a person. That exists. Let's take one over here from Otho Zen. Howdy, Purple Beast and Red Beast. Otho Zen here. Wanted to get your read on Aboriginal characters in games. I hail from the let me give it my best shot. Sequapemk Nation. Give it your best shot. In Kamloops, BC. The site of the recent tragic discovery of the so far 215 unmarked child graves at the site of the former residential school. Yep, if I look out the window, the Canadian flag is still at half-mast, where it will remain for... Yep. This horrible discovery led me to think about how Aboriginal people are represented in media. While TV and movies in this regard are hit and miss, in games I run into stereotypes the most. It might be confirmation bias, but I play games more than watch TV. However, when I see characters like T-Hawk, Thunder, and Nightwolf, it always rings hollow for me because it feels like there's no character beyond being Aboriginal. Wooly, it's okay. Thunder's still cool. Much love and sorry for the long email. Possibly it's the subject matter, but keep doing your thing. I get that, and I totally get exactly where you're coming from there, because like the best examples I can think of were when they went with so there's Connor from Assassin's Creed 3, where they put a lot of attention to detail into making sure he was accurately portrayed. And then Eagle, Thunder's brother in KI, they went again and like they worked with a class of kids like actually from the same area he's from and tried to keep it as accurate as possible. And, you kind of ended up with like these accurate representations, but at the same time, their most defining trait was simply where they were from.
Yeah, it's. I mean, every piece of media has an issue with this. It's like, and it's often like disappointingly overtly racist. Like, hey, what's this character's backstory? He's the Chinese guy on the cast.
Correct.
Like, oh, okay. what's this guy's deal in the plot? He's the black character.
Yeah, no, where you are from is the
like-
entirety of the angle, and there's
Like,
nothing else
really?
to
Like,
it.
okay.
Yeah. So, you know, like it's like it and it's when it comes to like these characters like showing up more often, like it is the right move to go and get people that actually know what the fuck they're talking about that are from these cultures to like contribute and help make sure that what you're doing looks and makes sense and is legit. But even better is having that not be the only dynamic that character is, and that whatever else effect they have on the plot world or story, whatever else they're doing also shapes who they are beyond just like, you come from here, so you pronounce the things correctly, you know?
It's always this weird, because we're talking about fighters, right? Fighting games are the worst at it, because fighting games always want to have a wide variety of characters from various places in the world. And by that metric, they're usually going to embody parts about their culture. And they're always going to end up being like kind of goofy stereotypes in one way or another, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have the brash American. You're going to have the giant Russian. And as we all know, Brazilians are green and control electricity.
Clearly.
Oh man, the Street Fighter 2 roster's so nuts! Because a bunch of them are like, yeah, I see that. And then you get to Brazil, and it's like it's a freak monster with electrical powers.
And yet still I'll take it over what it was supposed to be.
Well, I mean, yeah, obviously.
Okay? Like, I hear you, and that's all fine and dandy, but all I think of is what it was supposed to be. Okay?
Yeah.
This replacement roster is fine. And for more on that, you can go see fucking Fighterpedia episode 1.
Did original Blanca have the electricity powers? I think that's a really important question.
We never had confirmation.
Because if so, that's just confusing.
He had a chain and a rolling attack. The rest we'll fucking figure out later. You know? Yeah.
Wait, no! Hold on. It is a thing in Street Fighter that Brazilians have electricity powers. Fucking Laura. Also has rolling and electricity. What is that? Why?
Oh, dude, did you forget the Electric Brazilians, like, gags for when 5 launched?
I totally forgot.
Yeah, Electric Brazilians. It's a thing.
What? Why?
Mm-hmm.
Is that even a thing?
It is
you're
now.
From Brazil and can electrocute people with powers. Let us know.
Sean got the wrong Hado burst. He should have got the Denjin.
Oh God. Laura makes Sean even way bigger of a loser than he was before. Like, it's crazy how much of a fucking loser Sean is.
He's not even electric. But you know what? But I do have to say, and I think I speak on behalf of a lot of people out here who are like, yeah, Sean's a loser. It's quite clear he's a loser. But he's a young black kid that plays basketball in Street Fighter, and you hoped for better for him.
Yeah.
You wanted more, you know? You wanted
Wasn't
more.
He good in Second Impact?
Yeah, he had the best Shoryu. So you wanted more from that. It hurts to be like, oh yeah, that fucking Dan-like loser, Sean. And you're like, oh, but he's the fucking kid that plays ball, man.
Dude, he wishes he was a Dan-like loser. Dan can throw a fireball without needing a fucking bar of meter.
It wouldn't be as bad if we got King Cobra, but we never did.
Yeah, you're getting him now. His name's Luke. Have you been paying attention?
Oh, Luke's black?
No, he's King Cobra from Mortal Kombat. Knock off Ken to knock off Ken.
You completely lost me. But
King
okay.
Cobra becomes Luke.
No, King Cobra became Rufus.
Then how come Cobra is also Cobra in MK and that was supposed to be a Street Fighter character? Do you not remember Cobra from Mortal Kombat? He's the guy who looks like Ken.
Oh my god. No, I did not until looking at this very thing. Yeah, okay, no.
It was theorized that he was going to be Ken as a crossover character.
Okay. No, I had no idea.
Cobra.
I had to look that up. I completely had no idea what you were talking about.
So there you go. Enjoy Luke.
I will.
No, stop! Stop!
Regardless. Anyway. Chemo
Stop
Force.
having fun!
I will have so much fun with the rapid punches. And he's a hot-blooded. I got love for my hot bloods.
Did they show off other costumes for Luke?
Not yet. I don't think they did yet. Yeah.
Maybe there's one that just takes the sting off it.
I think they didn't. I think if they did, it would give away the backstory game.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Anyway, y'all can't stop me from liking Luke. It's too late.
I can try really hard.
Give it your best. Chemo Force says, dear Top Pat and Woolly Daddy, help. There are people on my Twitter feed saying that gun sounds in Halo Infinite are bad because they're not like the ones in Modern Warfare 2019. Personally...
The fuck? What does that have to do with shit?
I think instead of going for loud, realistic gun sounds, gun SFX should be telegraphed to its role in the game, like how pistols go pew-pew, assault rifles go pew-pew, but really fast, and shotguns go kablamo, but the differences with each gun of the same type better emphasize what they're about. I'll take giving weapons depth, like the right crunch, pop, and sizzle any day, over just being loud and generic with not much distinction per weapon. I also think gun sound design should be tweaked in context of the game. Imagine RE2, where every gun is so loud it drowns out Mr. X's footsteps, as well as his music. I would think that Modern Warfare 2019 has gun design like this because the only sound you ever really hear in multiplayer are the guns, and the maps are so large now that they need to be loud, but have them far less distinct, so as to not give away the type of gun each player uses easily, which isn't what Halo is going for at all, in my opinion. What do you think?
No, it's really not. Like in Call of Duty, all you need to know about gun noise is that there's a gun noise happening. In Halo, you tend to want to know what gun noise is creating what by what gun. But like more than that, like the people on your timeline are completely insane. But this actually reminds me of the Halo Infinite thing, beta or whatever came out. And did you see that YouTube video of a guy shooting a bunch of fucking melons? And it's like, oh, they don't react, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
And
the
it's
melon
like,
test.
The guy got ratioed into oblivion by, like, I responded to it. I saw Dave over at New Blood and all these developers. And it's like, this is why people get crunched. People get crunched into the earth because some fucking manager sees that and goes, oh man, our game looks bad because Ratchet didn't move the leaf when he touched it on our game, instead of focusing on shit that would actually matter. Like, it's so infuriating.
So the thing is I know that I'm like, the wrong person speaking out of turn in a way because I don't care about the realism. I think things should sound as interesting or as cool from just a creative standpoint more than anything else. And fictional sounding weapons to me are I enjoy fun, weird noises that are distinct. I love those crazy sound bombs in Star Wars in episode 2. I think like the coolest part of the entire movie is practically like
you're super right. That
the
shit
sound
is
bombs.
actually really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, they're the best part of the movie in my opinion. Like I fucking love them. You know, so I'm all about flexing that sound design in creative ways and coming up with sounds that just, you know, are.
This is literally the same conversation we just had with Gran Turismo, man.
Yeah, it is. It is. But here's the thing.
I just realized it's the same fucking thing.
It is, right? Create the creative angle versus the simulation. I watched a video because when I was looking into Half-Life 2 and checking out like the new version of it versus the original, there was like a whole thing about like check out the improvement to the guns, and I was watching the difference between whatever the new version was called, I forget, but like the sound of each gun was improved to sound more realistic, and it was cool. It was cool to like, oh yeah, like that sniper rifle, like you hear the echo, like you hear the reverb last way longer and it's more powerful and it's a cracking shot, you know, or like the sound of the Kraber going off as well is very, you know, like shit like that. Like I get it. And like I understand when you're someone who is also very familiar with what the firearms sound like in real life, it lends an air of authenticity that you otherwise wouldn't get.
Yeah. On the other hand, if you played 10 sound effects of the Half-Life 2 pistol, to me, like 10 different random gun sounds, and the Half-Life 2 pistol sound was in there, I would easily be able to pick up the Half-Life 2 pistol sound because it's unique. It doesn't sound like a real gun. It sounds like the Half-Life 2 pistol.
I think a reasonable thing is just like if the game is using a realistic gun that is modeled after a real thing, then go for that. But if you're using Halo weapons, then you have no obligations to reality.
Yeah,
Have
you know
fun.
what? The Needler doesn't sound enough like a DAK.
You know, like what the fuck are you gonna what are you gonna complain about? You know,
what realistic gun is the energy sword supposed to map to?
Because the fucking L-Star doesn't sound like the way it should in my head. Improve the sound. Yeah, it's like no. If you're using alien guns, shut up. Who cares?
Hey, speaking of alien guns, Wooly, stop there for a second. Can you conjure in your mind the sound of the pulse rifle firing from Aliens?
I cannot.
Okay. Well, if you had seen... You probably haven't seen the movie in like 15 years. That is a completely unique gun sound.
Okay.
That will never be, like, confused with anything else.
Okay.
And as a result, when I watch Aliens, it's one of those details that when they shoot it, I go, ah, yeah. And when there's an Aliens game and they shoot the gun in there...
It sounds like that, yeah. Yeah, I
Here's
mean,
another example. There's a lot of revving mechanics in games. Could you pick out the exceed ping out of a series of 100 similar pings?
yeah. Free every time. Line them up,
right?
You know?
Like, does that sound like a regular motorcycle noise? No.
Yeah. When the sound bombs came back in, I think it was like Mandalorian, it was like immediately I'm like, fucking there they are. Those things. Don't forget those things, you know? Yeah, these when it's a really good sound effect, it absolutely stays with you.
Halo guns don't sound like that. Everyone on your timeline is insane, sir.
Also, even just the sound of a colored up shot, full charge shot of, you know, when Neuro lets it go, like there's a, you know, it's even that. It's like, oh yeah, they played with it. It's not a real gun, but it's cool. You remember it.
You know what my favorite little piece of video game Foley work is ever? And it's Halo, so it's appropriate. That's why I thought of it. You know the grunts? You fought a bunch of them, and they have all their weird grunt noises. Yeah. Do you know what the grunt noises that like aren't vocal? You know, there's words that they say, but then there's also like the noises they do.
Yeah.
Do you know what that shit is? It's the sound effect artist's dog. It's a pug.
Yes.
It's just
You told me that.
blah, blah, into the mic, and then it's just pitched up and down and around.
V told me that. Yeah. That's true. I did hear that.
It's just a disgusting pig dog, like my disgusting pig dog, just pitched up or pitched down to fuck with it.
Yeah. That's a good... Yo, the sound of Strider's swing of his blade, you know?
What is that?
Man. It's just you need...
Oh, I just thought of another one. You know, stone moving, like stone blocks moving against
being
each
pushed
other,
against...
Yeah. Noise. You know what that usually is? It's a can being pitched down a couple octaves.
Huh. There's a stock one that gets used all the time. Interesting. Yeah. Anyway, there you go. Fun
Foley
stuff.
work is so cool.
It's very cool. It's very cool.
Isn't it a lot cooler than we went and took the Garand out to the field and we shot the Garand and the mic guy had a microphone next to the Garand and then you heard the ping and the ping went off and then we put the ping in the game.
I mean, if you want to talk about like what are some of the major benefits that JoJo as an anime has over the manga, it's the ability to include the sound effects of the stands going off.
Oh yeah.
The distinct noises.
I didn't think that would matter at all until and like, oh, okay, no, that actually makes all the difference in the fucking world.
Until you hear the world go off, you're like, yeah, that is why we're here, you know? Indeed. All right. That'll do it.
Not quite.
Look, I'm trying to get out of here without zombies calling me the N-word. Is that possible?
Well, not until we talk about disco.
You're right.
So, I hope they're far away. I hope they're out of earshot for at least 10 more minutes.
Well, there's a couple other words that Disco will call me instead.
Okay, so the spoiler cast for Disco Elysium starts in a few seconds. So if you don't want to hear anything spoilery about Disco Elysium, I would highly suggest that you leave in the time, or turn this off in the time period that I am saying the sentence. Before you do, if you're listening to this on Monday live, you can go check out Peach Live at 8 o'clock. She's streaming Dark Souls. But regardless of that, spoilers will be happening for Disco Elysium as of right now. So do you like the part of the game with the thing happen?
Yeah. I mean, well, okay, first of all, like the deserter and the
I love it.
And his just everything about him and his view of the title screen and his entire character just sitting there, and you're going through this fucking like bullshit puppy dog version of communism throughout the game, and this old fuck is the realest deal.
Yeah, he's tired, he has nothing to live for.
He's the realest deal, and he's been, and like the first impression you get is like, oh, he's that Japanese soldier that didn't know the war ended, that kept fighting, right? But then it's like, no, he knew because he was following the development of the world, and through his scope, he was watching things happen, and he was leaving the island and going around, and he was watching the world change, and he hated it.
Yep. And he's taking his little revenge on the world.
Yep. You know? And it's like, and it's interesting because you're seeing this character and you're like, oh, okay. And like immediately just the energy of people that are like, yo, the deserter did nothing wrong. Always right. Truest right.
Oh, come on.
And you're like, not, and like immediately he starts being a contradiction. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. He's contradicting himself in the same conversation, you know? What is up with this guy? And like you just kind of have like a point on the he's a point on the political compass on the chart that like
all the way at the edge
shoots so far past the Union and Evrart and everybody that it restabilizes this entire balance, you know?
My favorite part about the Deserter isn't even him. I think he's a cool surprise. My favorite part of the Deserter is what he represents in the game's narrative structure, which is that you have been following every potential and legitimate lead possible until you hit what I thought was going to be the end of the game, only to deal with a scenario in which we have fucking no leads at all. We have nothing connecting anything we have done to anything. Well,
Yeah.
let's just go find the shooting points. Oh, it's the guy, and it's a guy who had nothing to do with anything.
You couldn't have possibly
the whole
had.
game
Yeah.
was a bunch of filler.
The whodunit could not have been guessed because you literally didn't have the
You never met him. How could you have met him?
Yeah.
You didn't.
You know? And then, like, in the midst of that, you just have what I called a turn for the Wes Anderson.
Yeah.
Right? A Wes Anderson moment where you're just like, and now nothing. Something that has nothing to do with anything, but is the most important thing ever, is going to captivate us, and we're going to just completely just drown in this, you know, for a while. The Phasmid is such a fucking cool thing to do. So of course I talked about this a little bit more in depth at the time, and you know, I'm not going to harp too long, but it's the nature of the game. It's the nature of this life, this streaming thing, whatever.
You got spoiled.
I got spoiled. And I know that can happen. So, you know, I'm not even like, you know, I'm not even going to fucking harp on that. But just some people can't keep it in their pants. It is what it is.
So I have a quick question about that.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's two parts to the Phasmid.
Mm-hmm.
One is the Phasmid's real.
Mm-hmm.
Two is you talk to it.
Yes.
I'm going to assume that second part you were not aware of.
I was not aware of the second part.
Because luckily, thank God, you get to, oh, there it is, and then it starts to talk to you.
Basically, all it was around the time where the Phasmid, where we first meet Gary and the traps and the cryptozoologist shit starts happening. You meet your lucky racist. And right around then, it was just, you know, someone making reference to like, oh yeah, sure, like it sure isn't real, or like hope he doesn't pays attention at the end, or hope he doesn't miss the end, or whatever, with like a dumb Kappa face and shit. It's just one of those dumb things where someone thought they were being smug and they weren't.
Like,
you know, and you're like, okay, well, cool, you know. But at the time, I protected Reggie from it, you know. So he came in not knowing, and then in the time when he was like, wait, what? And I'm like, yeah, I'm the soldier getting stabbed in the back and shot in the back while you're sleeping on the bed, you know. Don't worry about it. Now, with that all out of the way, it still is fucking incredible, and the timing of when they did it, the how, you know, like the gravity of it, everything about that I did not know, and it was wonderful. It was such a cool way. Yeah. It was such a cool way to like take this just train wreck and just put it in. Yeah, it's just like the whole game is this crazy thing where we talked about it before, but like you are the fucking belligerent, insane asshole by any stretch of the imagination in any other story told. But this world, this planet is so fucked that you're actually right. Yeah. And the things you say and do actually make sense because the world bends to make them make sense after the fact. Mm-hmm. You know? It's so fascinating to see that kind of character be self-destructive, but like at every turn, there's a reason behind it. There's a method to all of the madness, you know?
I think like that whole ending sequence is like perfect because you have the explanation of the deserter, and it's like a fountain of hypocrisy, and it's also like hilariously mundane. Like there's no big mystery to him. He's just a bad person. Hit side like sandwich right next to like magic, like completely absurd shenanigans. But before that, to set it up, is you get to finish your personal story with your nap.
Yes.
And you get to talk to Dolores.
So just last thing on the deserter there is the like as it's going, and it's like, you know, you're setting up the framing of this character who's the contradiction and such, and you're like you're hearing him talk about the way things ought to be, and then it's like, okay, but motherfucker, you're still drilling holes in walls, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
You're
like
still peeping on women's,
you know, and then what's up with all that? And then it's like, oh well, it could have been under the influence of the phasmid, maybe. And it's like,
Maybe.
yeah, you could. It's enough gray in that area to go like, oh, he's just, you know, behaving in ways that are under the influence or whatever the case is. But it doesn't change the fact that it's like, yeah, that shit. The more you go into it, the more fucked it is. And like the parts where like he makes reference to like he makes reference to degeneracy, right? And you're like, oh the tanky style communist is talking about something that you would expect from the nationalist, right?
Well,
what's that
like
about?
He's consistent.
And then you see these contradictions, you know, and it's like, yeah, well, if you can take something degenerate and call it bourgeois, then that's a reason enough to write it off.
Well, he's also like a de facto hypocrite, considering he's so hardcore into the violent communism because he's a pussy and he deserted.
And then he survived.
He felt bad about it,
but he only survived because of it, right?
Yeah.
And then of course it's just like, and then you were just looking and you're like, yeah, I took the shot, you know, because fuck him. And you know that the guy who was on the receiving end of that fucking deserved it. But,
yeah, he's an asshole.
You know, and you go down the, yeah, you know, we talked about it, loincloths, etc. But yeah, the dream. What fucking works there super well is because you obviously understand, like you're not stupid. You understand within minutes that you have a horrible ex-wife divorce story in your past, and you don't want to.
It's defining. It's you don't know the specifics, but it's horrible.
So the whole time you're waiting hours to get there, you're going through every version of it in your head already, you know. So my feeling was basically one of like, okay, look, man, I've been wondering about how bad this breakup was for like fucking whatever 40-50 hours. Whatever it is at this point, like, could it possibly like build up to or be as, you know, bad and as crazy as I have considered it might be? And then you're going through the conversation and you're like, oh, this is all, first of all, you're never going to fully know because Harry refuses to see it from anything except his point of view, which is that of the victim. You have no idea what he did and how fucking awful he was because you're not entitled to see her side of the story on it.
And it's this weird thing, like even when you get there, it's like people in the chat right now are going off about what she did or what she didn't do, and it's like I'm not 100% sure what to believe in that sequence because parts of it aren't real.
But by the point you're on the way out, it's like, just in case you needed something to push it over the edge here, here's a little bit of that Godfather 2 for you, you know? Here's a little bit of that, like, oh, whatever this was, there is no more.
Oh yeah, it's this interesting thing for me because the whole game I'm like, I want to find out what happened. I'm desperate to find out what happened, which pushes Harry driving towards like remembering the thing he almost killed himself to forget. And then I got there and I'm like, I should have left it alone. Like, Harry's original decision was a correct one. He is absolutely self-destructive and going to eventually kill himself over this because he can't get over it. And it can't be gotten over.
Whatever it was, however it went down, the point at which she has an abortion and needs to get as far away from you as possible to that degree, it's like, yeah, there's nothing else to say. Whatever it was, at that point, there's no longer anything else to say. And
yeah, whether or not she's just like, I hate being poor, or whether or not Harry was like a terrible
we don't know what he did.
Or
we don't know.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
All that matters is that she's gone as much as a person can. And did you get the phone call?
Which one?
When you dial random numbers on the phone.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
So you eventually ended up speaking to her briefly?
Yes.
So as pathetic as that phone call is, the most important thing is that you have to dial like 80 numbers to get her area code, which means she's not just in a different country or a different continent. She's essentially in a different world.
She's as far away from where you are as you can possibly get. Calling, still calling. Yeah.
Like, she did not half-ass leaving you, man.
And I think it's really important, too, to state how unreliable Harry is at that point. And at the end, when your Phasmid is talking to you through Inland Empire and Volition backs it up and it says it was mostly her. And it's like, okay, we'll just have to take your words for that, right? But we don't know the whole story, and you can't.
Well, I mean, you're describing the Volition backs it up, and so does Inland, and it's like, but is it talking to you? Seriously.
So the only reason why is because I made a decision, which is I trust Volition no matter what, right? I made a decision early on when I'm after Classia, where I was like, no matter what happens, I will trust Volition. It's the only uncompromised stat.
Absolutely, and that's fine. But that's like a personal decision.
But that's a personal decision.
Room
totally.
That the voices in your head are lying to you, and that fucking magic beast is not actually talking to you.
Totally. I have no idea. I trusting Volition was the best. I loved it. It was great. I had a fantastic playthrough because I decided to trust Volition on that. The moment of being compromised is like such an incredible one that just you have to stare sideways at 24 stats. you know. I'm like, Shivers, you're gonna fucking rat me. Shivers is gonna sell me out. You know, it was incredible. But that's what it is. I think like the Phasmid gives you that final little line, and you know, I see some people reading way too hard into that when I'm just like, no, you're not meant to know his side. You're not meant to know the objective truth here. All you have is his perspective, him being on the receiving end of someone who's walking away from him, and he's trying to bury the reasons why. You know? So what, and of course, because things are up to interpretation, you can fight over them forever. So, you know, by all means, take your interpretations and have your own with it. But like, based on the way it went with this playthrough, this is how I'm looking at it. Go ahead.
I'm a big fan of, after all of that, they give you, like, games don't do this. God of War did it. And I remember being blown away when God of War did it. Games don't have a denouement. Games hit your climax and then like 3 minutes and then credits. In the end of Disco Elysium actually reminds me a lot of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, where you get an entire story sequence that is like, so all that shit happened, huh?
The sacking of the Shire. You know, the God of War one is a really great example because yes, that was a really the denouement on that is fantastic. It was kind of incredible how petty the conversation with Vilmar feels.
Oh, he's such a fucking asshole.
your final, like it's like it's trying to be a final boss, but you couldn't give less of a fuck, like it couldn't matter less, the entire thing. And on top of that, at least in my playthrough, Kim was there, had my back. Vikmar, excuse me.
And you're like, I love you, Kim.
And Kim is just like, yo, at the end of the day, he fucking did everything, man. He did everything. The game happened, and he solved all these problems, and he still got to the bottom of it while being a fucking superstar cryptozoologist.
Yeah.
Like, it was, and then you see everyone else turn on him and kind of get to a point of like, why are you such a dick, dude? Just, it's fine. The Feld building guy who came with his son, he never lies to you at any point. He just doesn't introduce like that the fact that he knows you, but he already knows Kim, and then you just completely move on, not thinking about it, So that was played great. The entire Joyce versus Everard thing is like, it's so clear how like they're both these horrible representatives that I represent that of their belief structures and their systems, but Joyce is charming and pleasant to talk to, so you just automatically default to being like, I like you and I want to be on your side.
So like, you're super right. I fucking love Everard.
Oh wow.
I love Everard so much.
Wow. Okay.
Like, he might be like my favorite character.
Because he's as an effective asshole?
I don't even know what to tell you. He's just like, he's so blunt about what he actually wants and what he's going to do. I appreciate that more than Joyce's like maneuvering, I guess you would call it, and obfuscation. Whereas like,
so
this is going to sound really bizarre.
She maneuvers.
Joyce will like lie to the side, right, and imply and
when you call her out on it, she'll be like, "Hey, yeah, you got me. It's disco, baby."
Whereas Everard will just lie to your face so bluntly that you're like, "You're lying to my face, Everard." He's like, "Yeah, I am.
I like that you caught on."
That's good, Harry. Like,
Mr.
I love lying. It's for the Union.
And like the contrast of the fact that the contrast too of like right outside is Easy Leo, who's gonna give you the most earnest conversation in the entire game.
Yeah. Well, second most.
Sure.
Fucking Egghead's gonna give you the most earnest conversation in the entire game.
The entire church side mission is like the most
like its own game.
You can fuck off. That's a side mission. It's 33% of the game, and it's incredible. It's it does wonders for establishing the world and everything about Revachol. The fact that you go through what has to be like probably the single best prompt in the entire game, but the dance.
Oh yeah.
The dance is just unstoppable. It's so good. And then it one-ups itself when you get Kim into it. I hope you did.
Oh, I did.
Yep. And then you peak when you're taking you're at maximum cop hijinks and absurdity, and the only place to go is straight to my favorite place, which is Shivers.
Yeah.
And La Ravacholière introduces herself, and you get the full like, oh, this is the best check in the entire game. Like, I can't imagine missing this, Yeah, Yeah, unbelievable.
And then after that, you get to do fucking weird magic space shit.
It's yeah, it's gonna like I tried and I'm like, I don't think you can name me a realer one than Kim K.
Yeah, Kim's the best.
He's the realest, and there's just nothing else to
He's
it.
the absolute best.
Power gap to second. There's no better partner. There's no realer motherfucker that has your back. You know?
I love Kim.
Protect him with everything. What did you write on the wall?
Something beautiful has happened. Something, I think
The miracle has not yet happened, or something like that.
I can't remember. You're asking me a question back from March.
Fair enough. What was hilarious is the idea that you could write the words "Renee lives" on that wall as the deserter is fucking watching you. You know, like seeing that whole thing where, yeah, you get to fucking cozy up to this monarchist, you know, representing the old school of the authoritarian, like coming from the ones who want the crown, and the crown is fucking baked in cocaine because that's the world we live in.
Of course.
Every single character, I feel like I had to stop and explain like a couple times where I'm just like, this last 20 minutes standing with a lady on the dock just spouting out world building is painting a more vivid canvas of everything about the history of this world than if you did a flyby of a super realistic 3D city and 100%. Zoomed in and out on all these different places and whatever. Just one conversation with the most minimal simple visuals of just like basic 3D models and unbelievable writing, you know?
Yeah, the game's incredible. It's fantastic. It's going to be talked about for years and years and years. It's the first game to beat Torment's word count.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yep. Over 1 million words.
I have to reiterate that this was almost a tragedy because the first time I touched it and realized how good it was, and then just there was no dialogue, so it couldn't be played. It just couldn't.
You put it on the shelf for a while for later.
And you just kind of but you just look at that and you go, this is fucking tragic because I can't possibly speak these lines, you know?
I did the same thing. I did a stream. I'm like, wow, this is an incredible game. It's amazing. It's unbelievable. Wow. Can't stream it. Okay, well, I gotta stream this other stuff, so I'll put this on the back burner for when I can play it myself. And that ended up just not happening. And then they announced the voiced version. I was like, oh, thank goodness. Thank you so much. Oh.
Yeah, and then for the voices to come in and be the absolute best, you know. Anyway, so I'm doing my new game plus. I'm gonna be a belligerent, ridiculous, physical asshole. Race war go up, and good. And let's see if we can't get Kuno on the team. You know.
Oh, you heard about that, huh?
Yeah. You, dude, like when you punch him, he talks differently to you.
Oh yeah, and he doesn't own you anymore.
And then when you're shooting the body down, if you do it that way, and Kuno S is like egging you on, she goes, "What's the matter, Kuno? Come on, get in there. Make fun of him." And Kuno remains silent. You know? And then when he does chime in, he goes, "Ooh, yeah, pig, come on, show me something interesting." But he's like absolutely distant and like he's like, "Oh, you're my dad."
He's not the unhinged psychopath that you knew before.
He's like, "Oh, you're my dad and I know exactly what you are, and I'm just going to stand back over here because you
I don't want you to beat me to death."
Yeah, he understands it. You know? You're one of them. Yeah. Unbelievable. No other game has the fucking balls to just go that hard and go that real all the time, you know, and nail the landing. That's it. That's all I got.
You really want to go balls out on Unigame Plus? Fucking throw that ledger away.
Oh, never find out. What is that? What happens?
No, specifically, get it and throw it away.
You just never find out who you are.
Yeah.
Does that not just? Don't you just miss out?
Not the ledger. Sorry, the note. You get a replacement perk. Oh, I can pull it up right now.
Oh, if you choose to just don't entertain the ex-wife.
Yeah. Thought cabinet. Here.
What the fuck happens? That's such a huge part of it.
It's got a thought that's called like caustic echo.
Oh,
Open the hidden compartment, throw the card away, and then think about it. It gives you +1 volition. And it's the feeling of throwing away something that you'll never be able to get back.
Huh. Interesting. Is there any other content to that, or
I don't know. Everything puts everything into everything.
Yeah.
Right?
Because it's almost like, you know how it's like, hey, light side or dark side, do you take the quest or kill the quest giver? And it's like, no, take the quest and then betray the quest giver for the most stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm inclined to
betray the quest giver, then betray the quester, then Disco's like reactivity to itself is unbelievable.
Yeah, I don't want to make choices that remove content entirely as much as I want to see the alternate results of that content.
No, there's very little that removes content entirely. Like, there's the failed checks that are like, get the goddamn shit out of the tree. Like that. That's a fucking check that it's get content or not. Mm-hmm. But in terms of like dealing with people or quests, it's content one way or the other. Like, I failed one of the big communism checks in my quest line and got something. I got something that told me a lot about Harry.
Okay.
I was arguing about communism and how we need to be down with the bourgeoisie, and then I failed the big important question. What is the biggest, most important communist question ever? And I failed it and got the best question I could possibly have, where Harry, without a doubt, asks legitimately, are women the bourgeoisie? And the guy is like confused and tells you that you need to work things out. And you go, oh, Harry's communism has shit to do with politics. He just desperately needs to find a way to blame the wife.
He just needs she's got to work in somehow. Yeah, that's amazing. Is that the Vision Quest?
It's amazing. That's the communist Vision Quest, yeah.
Because I did the ultra-liberal Vision Quest. And I hear that the moral one and the fash one are super interesting for Harry's character.
The moral one, I know you get to learn about Kim.
Okay.
Because Kim's a moralist.
Okay. Yeah, I hear that the moralism and the fash ones are like fantastic adds to the game. So yeah, that's great. I imagine
also plays into the dream where one of the options is like, but I know all this stuff now. I'm a big communist. We got stuff to talk about. She's like, I don't give a fucking fuck that you're a communist now, Harry.
Yeah.
That wasn't the problem,
dude. I mean, I'm walking around as an ultra liberal, and I have net worth. And it's like, look how much money I'm worth now. I can support I'm so rich. Just like, and yeah, become a man of plenty. Okay, favorite stat
of the ones that I played with. I'm gonna pull up a goddamn list because I'm sure there's one I'm gonna forget.
Because for me, go ahead.
After you, then.
Okay.
No, after you. If you have one to pick.
I've said it many, many times, but it's just Shivers will never. Nothing makes the payoff feel as good to me as Shivers does, and it was the moment the first prompt happens where the hood at, right? Where you just get like the zoom out to take in the entirety of the top of the map, you know? And it's like, what is happening in all four directions? What is happening above? The moral internships are above. And I'm like, this power of feeling what is happening in the city around you. It's like I said, it's the Nar Shaddaa moment. Nothing's better than that, and it pays off so much towards the end.
So I think Shivers is almost cheating because Shivers is mandatory. Like it's actually mandatory.
Is it?
Yeah.
Because when I didn't start hearing it until I buffed the stat.
The check at the mural to find Ruby,
yeah,
is mandatory.
Okay.
Like you have to beat that Shivers prompt.
Okay.
But you will. I mean, there's like a million different ways to lower that.
Well, you can roll low and get it right. You can pass it with
but what I mean is that you have to interact with Shivers in a big way to continue, not that you have to level it up. I'm torn. I didn't get to spend a lot of time with Half-Light, but every time I did, it scared me.
Interesting.
Half-Light is crazy.
It's Kuno.
It is Kuno. It is literally Kuno in your head. I'm torn because I almost want to say Inland Empire purely because the necktie is an Inland Empire character.
I missed the necktie completely. Yeah.
You did?
I didn't get the necktie.
You didn't?
Nope.
Did you get it on your next playthrough?
Not yet. I got the tie, but it hasn't started talking to me yet. When does it start talking to you?
Immediately.
Oh. Then no, I guess not. Should I level?
Necktie's like a character.
It's a character.
Like a big character.
Oh, I know. I found out after the fact. I was watching a secret. There's a secret mission where you have to figure out like why the two children in the village can hear the radio of Kim's car, and I saw some lines from the necktie there. I know it's a whole character, but we failed it. We didn't get it.
Apparently, you need to have 4 inland and put it on like right away. That's what people are saying.
I'll try it on my New Game Plus. Yeah.
Okay, I'm not going to talk about anything to do with necktie then because I don't want to spoil it for you.
But that's your favorite?
I had some cool adventures with that necktie and bottoms.
Okay. Because the inland answer is like if you're leaning into the fucking Matthew McConaughey energy, right? If you want
that's
that,
what it is, isn't it?
If you want that Matthew McConaughey energy,
true detective shit.
Yep, that's what it is. You know, that's good.
And while I didn't hang out with him a lot, and I'm looking forward to hanging out with him on my new game. Somebody in chat nailed it perfectly. Even if you don't listen to him, electrochemistry is batting 100 at all times. Electrochemistry is the stat I missed the most when I was building my character because it didn't make sense for me to build electrochem but then avoid all drugs.
Oh, you played straight edge.
100%. Didn't take a drink. Did not a sip of alcohol. Not a single drug.
So I kept electrochem at like 2. I kept it super low. I didn't care.
Yeah, but I miss him because every time he did talk, he'd be a funny guy who wanted to party.
Right.
He tried to kill me at one point.
Yeah, I think like after Shivers, it's definitely there's some great shit with EDC, Esprit de Corps, because it's Blue Shivers.
I'm shocked at how much I liked Blue Shivers.
Blue Shivers, dude. Like, hey.
Because I hadn't taken into account how much that it would have me identify with Kim.
Yep. What is he feeling on the scene? What is his mind thinking? And sometimes what's happening somewhere else across in Jamrock?
Yeah.
You know? What cases are being solved?
That reminds me. And I think we can... I don't know how much you have left to say about it, but this is the only thing that I want to say, which is the stats and the voices and the build-up all crescendo into my favorite, like, pronouncement in any game that I can think of, which is detective arriving on the scene. Like, just like that feeling of like Harry's finally doing it. He's finally got it. Like, he's back almost.
Yeah. Also, the way in on the island, like, playing that fucking music, dude, and you're getting the reward being the leitmotif, where it's like, oh, you know this song. It's just the full version now.
But
so
also, like, hey, how'd you know we were coming? You guys were going down on a boat with some fucking jackass music. What do you mean, how'd I know you were coming?
Just blasting it over the fucking sad FM. Yeah. yeah, no. Kim is like, you said you like Sun, so he's the ultimate tsundere energy, you know.
Oh, I love Kim.
Yeah. All right,
that's it for us today. Everybody have a good one.
take care.